the genius scientist of the Dragon King legend. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101 Cocktail Party. Jinga, Orb, Victory, X. New fusion sublimation. I have no limits. New generation capsule Ultraman Zero. Infinite form. Oh my god, this form is so cool. Jiang Xiaofeng and Tang Wulin were watching TV in the room with great interest. At this time, a cheating merchant was delivering a new cheat to a certain Ocean. Please pay attention. Please pay attention. The broadcast suddenly sounded in all the cabins. Welcome to the luxury ship Titanic. Tonight, we will hold a grand cocktail party to welcome everyone. Please dress up. This will be a social event to promote the long-lasting friendship between the two continents. At the same time, we will also have some interesting games. Everyone is welcome to participate. Cocktail party. Dress up. Jiang Xiaofeng fell into deep thought. Do you think he is short of money? He is definitely not short of money, but Jiang Xiaofeng definitely does not have dresses. How can a technical geek do that? Isn't he equals MC good? 21H plus 31H 42He plus 10 and is much more interesting than dress up. Do you have a fancy dress? Jiang Xiaofeng asked. Tang Wulin shook his head decisively. A fancy dress? No way. He didn't have enough money to buy rare treasures, so how could he have extra money to buy a fancy dress? Why don't we continue watching? Isn't this more interesting than a cocktail party? That makes sense. Tang Wulin nodded in agreement. At this time, there was a knock on Tang Wulin's door. Who is it? Jiang Xiaofeng opened the door curiously, only to see Gu Yu standing at the door. Just now I went to your room to look for you, but you were not there, so I came here to take a look. Gu Yu walked into the room and looked around, only to see Tang Wulin's computer, and from time to time, a voice came from, "You go. Are you going to the party tonight?" Gu Yu looked at Jiang Xiaofeng and asked. Jiang Xiaofeng was about to say no, but for some reason, he always felt that the surroundings were cold. Finally, Jiang Xiaofeng changed his words and said, "I don't care, mainly because there are no nice clothes. Do you want to go?" Gu Yu smiled slightly. "Don't worry, I guess there would be such an event a long time ago. Here you go." As he said that, Gu Yu took out a set of gorgeous clothes from the soul guide ring. In Tang Wulin's eyes, "You actually betrayed me. We agreed to watch Ultraman together?" Jiang Xiaofeng smiled and said, "Thanks, I will wear this tonight." Back in the room, Jiang Xiaofeng began to try on the clothes that Gu Yu handed to him. It was troublesome to put on. After putting it on, Jiang Xiaofeng looked at himself in front of the mirror, and it looked pretty good. Jiang Xiaofeng looked at the table again. Energy has been injected 3.4%. Estimated remaining time, 2 days 19 hours 43 minutes 28 seconds. It still takes so long. Jiang Xiaofeng sighed, smiled bitterly and said to himself, "If it weren't for the last resort, I really don't want to make this thing now." At this time, Tang Wulin's door was knocked again. Who is it again? Tang Wulin reluctantly pressed the pause button and walked to the door. "Hey, Wusido?" Wusido gritted her teeth. "Are you going to the cocktail party tonight?" "No, what's wrong?" Tang Wulin looked at Wusido in confusion. "Nothing." Wusido shook her head. "I just asked." With that, Wusido turned and left. "What? It's inexplicable." Tang Wulin scratched his head, closed the door, and pressed the play button. Wow, new form, so cool. Ultraman Jade, heroic form. Hey, isn't this easy? You've made it. You're dressed like a human being. Zhu Xiaoan looked at Zizi with disdain. "Get lost. How can a little girl like you understand how handsome I am?" "Sister Xinglan, I won't go." Zhu Lizhi looked at his fat body, looked at Xi Xinglan in a dark green dress, and said hesitantly, "I don't have any other clothes except school uniform. Besides, with my figure, nothing looks good in me." Yi Xinglan frowned. "Wait for me." After a while, Yi Xinglan took off her long skirt and put on Shrek's school uniform again and walked out of the room. She pinched the fat on Zhu Lizhi's face and said lovingly, "Let's go." On the empty sea, an iceberg was taking shape at a speed visible to the naked eye. The large banquet hall that could accommodate thousands of people was now overcrowded. Kaleo and Wu Changkang sat quietly in the corner, talking to each other. Kaleo wore a silver white dress, which seemed to be barely able to rush. Wu Changkang kept rejecting the women who came to chat with him. Being handsome is also a kind of trouble. Soon, Jiang Xiaofeng and others entered the venue. To be honest, Jiang Xiaofeng was a bit handsome, but not to the extent of being earth-shattering, so he didn't attract much attention. The other people in Shrek were different. Except for Zuliski, the men were handsome and the women were beautiful, so there was no problem for them to debut on the spot. Jiang Xiaofeng looked around. It was okay that Tang Wulin didn't come, but why didn't Wu Siduo come? Do you know where Wu Siduo went? Jiang Xiaofeng asked the people in Shrek curiously. Everyone shook their heads, and only Yi Xinglan said thoughtfully, I remember that she seemed to say that she was going to check the situation. If it was not interesting, she would not come. Where is Tang Wulin? Why didn't he come? He didn't plan to come. There are too few things to eat here, not as much as the things stored in his storage ring. Besides, there are other things that attract him more now. Jiang Xiaofeng explained with a smile. To be honest, Jiang Xiaofeng was not very interested in this cocktail party. First of all, he didn't drink, and didn't like drinking. He was not interested in dancing, and he couldn't dance himself. Moreover, Jiang Xiaofeng had a bad feeling. It seemed that this voyage would not be too peaceful. The following exchange activities attracted Jiang Xiaofeng's interest. This was an exchange activity for all walks of life in Daoluo continent, even the most basic production industry. Wu Changkang glanced at Jiang Xiaofeng and said, go if you want to. I can introduce you to which industry you want to communicate with. Jiang Xiaofeng thought for a while and said, agriculture. I have a lot of research in agriculture, so I can take this opportunity to promote it. Okay. In fact, even without Wu Changkang's introduction, Jiang Xiaofeng was confident that he could get their recognition with his knowledge. But this would undoubtedly take a lot of time. Now, with Wu Changkang's help in the introduction, Jiang Xiaofeng could gain a lot of say at the very beginning. Alas, I don't know what's going on recently. The weather is getting worse and worse, and the grain harvest is getting worse year by year. That's right, the higher ups want more grain every year, but the key is that our harvest is getting less and less every year. I thought it was only like this in our Daoluo continent, and it's also like this in your Xingluo continent? That's right, alas. The key is that I can't change my career. If I change my career, the whole county will have no food to eat. Hello. Wu Changkang walked over with Jiang Xiaofeng and greeted him politely. Seeing the clothes on Wu Changkang, everyone didn't dare to neglect him. Hello, who are you? I'm a teacher in the Shrek External Academy and a deacon of the Tang sect. This is my student. Don't look at his young age. He is the deputy director of the scientific research department of our Tang sect. I think he should have something in common with you. Everyone was shocked. Although they didn't know this person, he just walked from the VIP area, and his identity was definitely extraordinary. There was no need for such a person to deceive them. Hello. Jiang Xiaofeng came forward and said hello. I have also conducted a lot of research in agriculture. I think we can communicate. Everyone looked at Jiang Xiaofeng half doubtfully. Then tell me, how are you going to solve our problem? Jiang Xiaofeng nodded. Okay, before I say it, I'll show you something. As he spoke, Jiang Xiaofeng took out a very well preserved, even very fresh rice from behind. But such a simple rice made everyone's eyes widen. There were more than 300 rice grains on this rice, which was nearly 10 times more than the commonly grown rice. P.S. After checking the information, I have to say that Mr. Yuan is really a peerless national talent. By the way, who is Yuan Enyehu for? Chapter 102 Mystery. You can confirm whether each grain here is full. Don't worry about damaging this sample. I have a lot here. Jiang Xiaofeng handed the rice in his hand to the grain producer in front of him. They took the rice, as if they had found a treasure, and looked at it carefully in their hands. In order to confirm the authenticity of this rice plant, they broke it open, after obtaining Jiang Xiaofeng's consent. This thing is absolutely real. I have been growing rice for so many years, and I will definitely not be wrong about this. There are so many rice grains on this plant. How many kilograms can 1 acre produce? Little brother, you name a price for this seed. I will buy it at any price. Yes, as long as you open your mouth, I will buy it at any price. Jiang Xiaofeng shook his head. This is not for sale. Everyone was speechless. But after thinking about it, they could understand that the profit this kind of thing can bring is really too great. I can give you these seeds for free. Also, this is my Shrek student ID number and contact number. You can come to me if you have any problems. Everyone looked at each other, obviously not seeing what Jiang Xiaofeng was up to. Jiang Xiaofeng continued, but I have a condition. Everyone hesitated for a moment. What do you think? 1 year later, I will announce the production method of this rice to the world. After my continuous improvement, this kind of rice is not only easy to cultivate, but also can be used as seeds in every generation. But by then, I need you to prove the yield of this rice. Everyone looked at each other in astonishment. Are there any other conditions? Let me think about it. Jiang Xiaofeng fell into deep thought. Oh, by then, such a high yield rice, even if it is sold at a reduced price, should make you earn a lot of money. So, I hope you can lower prices, so that more people can afford this rice. That's it? Everyone still didn't believe it. Suddenly, an old voice came from behind Jiang Xiaofeng. I can vouch for him. Excuse me, who are you? Although everyone didn't know who she was, they could vaguely feel a sense of oppression from her. Dean of Shrek's outer court, Elder of the Sea God Pavilion, Kajua. As he spoke, 9 soul rings slowly emerged from old K's body. Everyone was shocked, and hurriedly said respectfully, with your majesty's guarantee, we naturally won't have any more doubts. Jiang Xiaofeng asked, do you have a large enough storage soul guide? Yes, of course. As they spoke, they showed their several storage bracelets. Okay. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded, and then took out hundreds of large bags from behind. This is rice seeds. 10 kilograms per bag. A total of 2,000 kilograms. You can take them. This book contains precautions when planting, as well as some of my suggestions for improving the planting method, which should greatly reduce the impact of the weather. Okay. Everyone accepted the book handed over by Jiang Xiaofeng, and then used the storage ring to store the bags of rice seeds. By the way, little brother, what's the name of this rice seed you made? One of them asked. Hybrid rice. Jiang Xiaofeng said word by word. Cross shockwave. Zed goodbye, father. Tang Wulin looked at Ultraman Jid, who changed his fate on the computer screen with admiration. Wow, I wish I could be like him. Suddenly, a person came over. Senior Makino? Why are you here? Makino, the leader of the body sect, but the body sect is now in a state of decline. If he wants to make the body sect rise again, he naturally needs a genius to join, and Tang Wulin is undoubtedly a suitable candidate. For this reason, Makino prepared a whole set of special training methods. He looked at Tang Wulin and his kindness gradually rose. Wu Sido sat alone in the room, not knowing what she was thinking. As long as hybrid rice can be promoted, even if the problem of food and clothing cannot be completely solved, it should be greatly alleviated. Jiang Xiaofeng said to himself in the room. This kind of rice solved the problem of food and clothing for countless people around the world in the previous life. Not only that, but some people were even fed too much, so they had the energy to mock Mr. Yuan. It will take several months to go to Xingluo continent this time. I hope nothing will happen during this period. Time can pass quickly or slowly. Although the scenery on the sea is beautiful, if you stay here for a month, you will get tired of the beautiful scenery. During this month, there was nothing but blue all around. Except for Tang Wulin, who was in dire straits every day. This kind of life was undoubtedly extremely monotonous for others. As night fell, the entire sea surface fell into darkness. The Titanic sailed steadily on the sea, and there seemed to be nothing unusual. However, out of everyone's sight, a huge iceberg began to slowly disappear. That's right, it disappeared, not melted. After entering the Titanic's detection range, the iceberg disappeared without a trace, and there was no unusual place left in its original place. The Titanic continued to move forward without detecting any problems, and on the giant ship, only a few people with extremely high cultivation felt uneasy, but they didn't know what was going on. Suddenly, there was a sharp friction sound from the bottom and edge of the cruise ship, and the whole cruise ship shook violently. In Jiang Xiaofeng's room, Jiang Xiaofeng, who was sleeping soundly, was suddenly startled, kicked his feet hard on the bed, and the whole person instantly jumped up from the bed and stood steadily beside the bed. At the moment when Jiang Xiaofeng jumped up, deep cut marks appeared on the walls in front of him, on the sides and behind him, and the bed he was lying on just now seemed to be squeezed by an invisible heavy object and shattered instantly. Tora, tiger, UFO, unidentified flying object, best match, are you ready? Henshin unknown jungle hunter Tora UFO, tiger UFO form, yeah the yellow and pink armor was instantly dressed. Jiang Xiaofeng threw his left shoulder towards the wall cut by the unidentified object, and a pink light instantly shone forward. UFO energy bottle, analyze objects that are invisible to the naked eye and visualize them. Even spirit riders will be visualized. In an instant, the outside of the hole in the wall seemed to be painted. Under the dark night sky, a huge iceberg suddenly appeared outside the ship. The sides and bottom of the ship were cut by several ice cones that were almost impossible to form naturally. That's right, these ice cones are extremely sharp and can't be formed naturally. Moreover, this iceberg has been invisible all the time, and it can't be a natural phenomenon, no matter how you look at it. Moreover, if it weren't for the fact that Kazushi had trained Jiang Xiaofeng for several years, Jiang Xiaofeng would never have been able to dodge in the first place. Under the cutting of such ice cones, Jiang Xiaofeng's chance of survival is really slim. It was not until this time that the alarm of the Titanic began to sound on a large scale, completely waking up some people who were still a little sleepy. What's going on? Kaleo was the first to fly out of the ship, looking at the iceberg that suddenly appeared in front of him in disbelief. Such a huge iceberg should not be able to hide from the mental detection of the titled Daoluo. What's more, Kaleo is not an ordinary titled Daoluo. She is a super Daoluo above level 95, and has a 3-character battle armor. His strength was far beyond that of the super Daoluo that Jiang Xiaofeng and his companions had met in the Spirit Pagoda. He hid such a huge iceberg so that many titled Daoluos on the Titanic, and even people of the level of Kaleo and Muai, could not find a single thing. Even Yunming could not do such a thing. In other words, it was impossible for anyone below the god level to do it. So, who was the person who did all this, and what was his purpose? Jiang Xiaofeng had some vague guesses about all this. Looking at the entire Daoluo continent, there were no more than 3 people who could do such a thing. Chapter 103 Targeting from the plane. The search for the culprit ended in vain. No matter how hard the titled Daoluo on the ship searched, they could not find any clues. There was no abnormality found in the iceberg, as if it was really just a naturally formed iceberg. But the problem is that the temperature in this place is normally above 20, and it is impossible to form an iceberg. The rapidly melting iceberg also proved this point again. Jiang Xiaofeng took advantage of the iceberg before it melted and put it into the intense repair work. The reason why the Titanic did not sink directly now is that the bottom is supported by the iceberg. If the iceberg melts completely, then the giant ship will also sink completely. However, this is not a big problem for Jiang Xiaofeng. In addition to fighting, the 60 energy bottles of Chuanqi have many other benefits. For example, now, although there are no repair tools on the ship to deal with this situation, the night system can provide more diverse tools. It took about an hour for Jiang Xiaofeng to successfully repair all the damaged hulls and restore about 80% of the power. What's left is some delicate work, and it will take about half an hour to complete the repair. However, Jiang Xiaofeng's operation really stunned the Titanic staff. Originally, they didn't plan to repair the giant ship, just keep it from sinking. As a result, Jiang Xiaofeng not only repaired it thoroughly for you, but also returned it to the factory settings directly. An hour and a half later, Jiang Xiaofeng nodded with satisfaction at the brand new Titanic. I don't know who took the lead, but there was applause from the entire Titanic maintenance staff. Jiang Xiaofeng said in a low-key manner, basic operation, don't be 6. With the continuous activation of the Phoenix energy bottle's ability, the melting speed of the iceberg instantly accelerated. With the blessing of the violent flame, the iceberg melted within 5 minutes and could no longer cause any hindrance to the giant ship. In order to prevent similar situations from happening again, Jiang Xiaofeng specially made a special radar. After inserting the UFO energy bottle on it, the radar will emit a special light wave in all directions. If there is anything similar again, it will be exposed under the irradiation of this light wave. Fortunately, nothing similar happened in the following days. The cruise ship sailed safely to Xingluo continent, and the radar made by Jiang Xiaofeng was not really used. When they arrived at Xingluo continent, the other party first held a grand welcome event. For Jiang Xiaofeng and others, this kind of event is the most boring, just a formality. According to the itinerary, the next stop of the Shrek party is Xingluo City, the capital of the Xingluo Empire. After resting in the hotel for a night, they took the Soul Guide train directly to their destination. After getting on the Soul Guide train, everyone stared at Tang Wulin. Tang Wulin was a little scared by the stares of everyone, and he couldn't help asking, "Why are you looking at me?" Everyone was still speechless and stared at him. Tang Wulin shuddered. "No, isn't it just that a few Soul Guide trains I took had accidents? Those are really just coincidences." Jiang Xiaofeng sneered. "Then calculate, how many Soul Guide trains did you take during the final exams that were scrapped?" Tang Wulin was about to start calculating when Jiang Xiaofeng interrupted him. "No need to calculate. During the final exams, you took a total of 15 Soul Guide trains, and 15 of them were scrapped due to various accidents. The accident rate of all the Soul Guide trains you have taken so far is as high as 74%. What else do you have to say?" The Xingluo Empire student sitting opposite them heard this and asked curiously, "Does he often have accidents when he takes Soul Guide trains?" ZZ nodded solemnly. "Yes, if there is an accident on this train, you can directly ask him for compensation." "No way." Tang Wulin screamed. "You cheated me." The carriage was suddenly filled with a happy atmosphere. Time passed slowly, and the shaking train made everyone a little drowsy. Suddenly, Jiang Xiaofeng looked up and shouted, "Enemy attack!" In the air, dense spots of light kept flying towards the train. Mr. K, who was sitting quietly on the side, glanced at Tang Wulin and appeared outside the carriage with a flash of silver light. If Jiang Xiaofeng remembered correctly, this trip would be attacked by a certain force in the original timeline. Jiang Xiaofeng couldn't remember which force it was, but he had a feeling he was targeted. That's right, whether it was the mysterious iceberg on the sea or the attack this time, there seemed to be someone behind it pushing it invisibly. And the ultimate goal of these events should be the same, to kill himself completely. I'll intercept the missile, and you take the civilians away from the scene, as soon as possible. Jiang Xiaofeng said, and took out the Chuanqi driver directly. Ghost magnet beat match, are you ready? Are you ready? Henshin hesitant supergravity mag ghost, magnetic ghost form. Yeah, the white and blue armor was instantly put on, and Jiang Xiaofeng's body became illusory, directly penetrating the carriage and coming out. Ghost energy bottle, turn yourself into a ghost, immune to physical attacks. Wu Changkan looked at Jiang Xiaofeng with complicated eyes, and then began to lead the Shrek students to command the civilians to evacuate. Mr. K, please take care of the Soul Guide shells over there. I will intercept the Soul Guide shells over here. Jiang Xiaofeng shouted to Mr. K while floating in the air. Mr. K nodded. Her ability was not suitable for dealing with this kind of defensive combat. Although she could deal with it with her advanced cultivation, it would undoubtedly be much more troublesome. Compared with defense, she is more suitable for attack. Jiang Xiaofeng's ability is extremely comprehensive, which can help her share the pressure. She waved her hand lightly, and a staff appeared in Mr. K's hand. The staff was raised high, and a ray of light fell from the silver moon in the sky. After passing through the silver plate, the moonlight turned into silver needles flying towards the soul-guided shells in front of her, accompanied by a series of explosions. None of the dense soul-guided shells crossed the defense line of Mr. K. Although Jiang Xiaofeng's movements were not as gorgeous as Mr. K's, the effect was more shocking. He stretched out his left arm forward, and the horseshoe-shaped magnet installed on his left arm instantly flipped, with the positive and negative openings aimed at the flying soul-guided shells. An invisible wave was emitted from the magnet, and in an instant, all the soul-guided shells in front of Jiang Xiaofeng stopped in midair. No matter how the tail flame sprayed, the shells could not move at all. Magnet energy bottle, strong magnetic control. Jiang Xiaofeng waved his hand again, and the soul-guided shells turned around instantly and shot at the mecha army rushing over from behind. Boom, the flames shot up into the sky, causing the mecha army rushing over to stagnate, but it was only a stagnation. Although many mechas were indeed destroyed, they were only cannon fodder. The real main force didn't care about this little bit of artillery fire. Jiang Xiaofeng didn't use the magnetic control ability anymore. Magnetic control is only effective in a surprise attack like this. Most mechas are equipped with anti-magnetic devices, but they are not activated, because they are more energy consuming. Now, after knowing that Jiang Xiaofeng has the ability to control magnetic force, all mechas will naturally activate all the anti-magnetic devices. The soul guide train has slowly stopped. If it continues to run, the train with fixed tracks can only become a target. The civilians on the train jumped off the train and evacuated quickly under the cover of the Soul Masters. The Mecha Brigade of the Xingluo Empire has arrived, and the powerful Soul Masters on the train have also joined the battle, and the scene has suddenly fallen into a stalemate. Jiang Xiaofeng looked around the battlefield. At this time, Mr. K was being dragged by a red-level mecha. The mecha brigade is frantically exchanging fire with the local forces, but the enemy is outnumbered and the situation is not optimistic. The civilians kept crying and hiding from the artillery fire on the battlefield. Although they were covered by Soul Masters, the artillery fire still spread to them from time to time. Ninja Diamond, are you ready? Build up. Jiang Xiaofeng, dressed in blue-purple armor, turned into a shadow and disappeared on the battlefield. A father was holding his child and running with the people in front. Another soul guide shell flew over. At this time, there was no soul master around him because the artillery fire was too dense, and now, the protection had a loophole again. Suddenly, a purple shadow flashed by his side, and a blue diamond wall blocked them. Chapter 104 Malay. Run fast, I'll clear the way for you. Jiang Xiaofeng turned his head and shouted, and then began to turn the joystick frantically until the alarm inside the night system sounded frantically. Diamond energy bottle, maximum output power. Ready, go, prepare, go. Jiang Xiaofeng's entire left arm has been covered with thick diamonds. Several more soul guide shells flew over, and the soul masters who were covering the crowd rushed forward to intercept them, but there were still a few fish that slipped through the net. At this time, Jiang Xiaofeng's left fist slammed into the ground. Vortex finish, vortex end. The diamond wall began to spread from the ground beside Jiang Xiaofeng, and in a flash, a semicircular tunnel built of diamonds was formed above the civilians. The passage composed of blue diamonds extended all the way to the outside of the battlefield, which looked spectacular. Run faster, I can't hold on for long. Jiang Xiaofeng shouted loudly. The civilians, who had no worries, immediately fled the battlefield along the passage at the fastest speed. Such a high-intensity continuous energy output is also a huge burden for Jiang Xiaofeng. If it weren't for the danger level being raised to 3.9, Jiang Xiaofeng might not even last a minute. The danger level went from 3.5 to 3.9, seemingly only increasing by 0.4, but for the night system, this was a leap forward. If the danger level of 3.5 could only support less than a second, then Jiang Xiaofeng at the danger level of 3.9 could maintain full output for more than 10 minutes. Once the danger level reaches 4.0, it would be a qualitative leap. At this level, the single drive would also be usable. Of course, the night system cannot be simply measured by the danger level, and the best match has strength that cannot be measured by the danger level. As the civilians continued to run along the passage, the diamond wall behind them was constantly breaking. This was not because of being attacked, but the result of Jiang Xiaofeng's deliberate control to reduce consumption. Seeing that Jiang Xiaofeng was fully supporting the diamond protective wall, Guyu no longer hid his weakness. Nana looked around. Teacher, I'm going to the toilet. Then she ran away. Yunming and Yali looked at each other in confusion. At her level of cultivation, she doesn't need to go to the toilet, right? Yali said uncertainly. It seems that this little girl is hiding something from us. Yunming said thoughtfully and smiled. Forget it. Since she doesn't say it, we won't ask. Yali smiled softly. What if she has someone she likes? Huh? What did you say? Yunming's voice suddenly rose 8 degrees, and his expression was no longer as calm as before. He talked to himself, as if he had lost his soul. Although I knew there would be such a day, I didn't expect it to come so soon. Who is that person? What's his name? What does he do? What is his martial spirit? How old is he? Yunming became more and more irritated as he spoke, and finally slammed the table and roared. No, I'm going to see who it is now. P.S. Please refer to Xiandao for specific reactions. At this time, Yali was almost laughing like crazy. How many years have I not seen Yunming show this expression for how many years? I remember the last time Yunming showed this expression, it was because he heard that many people proposed to him. Yunming, who didn't know how to deal with it, finally chose to drive away all the suitors. Okay, I lied to you. Yunming calmed down again and said calmly, I see. Wake up. Silver Dragon obtained the power of heaven and earth element year except for Tang Wulin. Everyone in Shrek couldn't help but be stunned for a moment, and then continued to fight. Guyu threw the Silver Dragon spear in his hand forward. The Silver Dragon spear with colorful light instantly penetrated one mecha after another, and after flying around, it returned to Guyu's hand. Guyu waved his hand again, and a large piece of falling rocks with blazing flames fell from the sky, instantly destroying a large number of low-level mechas. What's more amazing is that such a large-scale attack did not hurt his own side at all. Of course, this kind of attack seems powerful, but if it is used on people of equal strength, the effect can be said to be negligible. After all, this kind of attack has too weak single-point lethality and consumes too much energy, which is completely not worth the loss. Unless like a certain survivor, as long as I'm fast enough, I can take all the damage. It was Was who used the full map damage, but Gates relied on his super fast speed to make all of Waz's attacks hit him. For a while, Jiang Xiaofeng and Guyu became the two most eye-catching people in the entire battlefield, except for Mr. K. After dozens of minutes, all the civilians evacuated to the outer edge of the battlefield. Jiang Xiaofeng was relieved and removed all the diamond walls. Tang Wulin successfully broke through level 40 during his voyage on the sea, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex also successfully became his second soul. But this time, the addition of the 10,000-year Tyrannosaurus Rex soul ring did not completely dye Tang Wulin's Blue Silver Emperor black. The Blue Silver Emperor with the 10,000-year soul attached still maintained its original blue and gold color, with no intention of changing at all. But this is not incomprehensible. In the original timeline, Tang Wulin's Blue Silver Emperor martial soul awakened because of Muai's devilish training. In the crisis of life and death, Tang Wulin's Blue Silver Emperor martial soul was forcibly awakened. Now, Tang Wulin's Blue Silver Emperor martial spirit was awakened directly through the golden ancient tree, and its quality was naturally much stronger than the Blue Silver Emperor that was awakened by force. Of course, for Tang Wulin, no matter how strong the Blue Silver Emperor martial spirit was, it could only assist the Golden Dragon King bloodline. The difference was that the complete version of the Blue Silver Emperor could assist himself better. For example, like now, countless Blue Silver Emperor vines flew out and entangled several mechas in front of Tang Wulin. Grabbing the other end of the Blue Silver Emperor vine with his right hand, his arm suddenly exerted force, and the Blue Silver Emperor vine also instantly straightened at this moment, but it did not break. Tang Wulin's powerful strength was transmitted to these mechas through the Blue Silver Emperor vines. The pilots and the mechas were horrified to see that their mechas were thrown away by Tang Wulin and then fell heavily to the ground like throwing sandbags. Yuanenyahu slammed his fist on the ground, and a strong airflow gathered at his fist, and with it, several mechas were swept by the airflow. The second soul skill, air cannon. Then, the Titan giant ape spirit was put away, and the fallen angel spirit was released. A dark light flashed, and the mecha in front of her was instantly split into two. Wu Sido turned into a series of afterimages, constantly flashing on the battlefield. Weak mechas were directly destroyed by the nether spirit cat spirit, and strong mechas were converted to the evil-eyed white tiger spirit to fight. Zizi was paddling in the water, and his strength was a little weak. There was nothing he could do. Zhu Xiaoan kept using his strong control ability, causing a large number of mechas to fall into chaos. England looked at the powerful partners around him, sighed, and helplessly released his battle armor. In fact, her battle armor was not weak, but because of someone's bad taste. The Holy Blade was drawn, the Blade King Sword, the 10 Holy Blades, the Cross of Creation, the Shining Stars and Miracles came together. The Sublime and Great Power, the Blazing Fire of Courage, the 10 Holy Blades, the 10 Holy Blades, the 10 Holy Blades, the fused 10 Swords. What the hell? At this moment, the battlefield around England fell into a brief silence. What the hell is this strange BGM? And what the hell is this shape? Are the current battle armors so fancy? Am I not keeping up with the times? Not to mention, it's really cool. England looked at Jiang Xiaofeng with resentment. If she really couldn't find a better person to make battle armor, she would never look for Jiang Xiaofeng. Now, she can only say in her heart that it smells good. Although it is embarrassing every time she releases it, this thing is really useful. Several sword shadows flashed, and the mecha in front of England was instantly cut into several pieces. Use fighting to vent embarrassment. Until this time, the reinforcement finally arrived. The scene at this time was very good, and the enemy mecha had begun to retreat. Jiang Xiaofeng was relieved. This time, it was considered safe. Outside the battlefield, a large number of screams suddenly rang out. Chapter 105 Pluto Daoluo. With the help of the night system, Jiang Xiaofeng can see things far away. And it was because of this that the scene in front of him made him tear his eyes out. All the civilians who escaped from the battlefield were turned into minced meat at that moment. Only a few people had time to scream. There was still continuous gunfire on the battlefield, but for some reason, everyone had a strange feeling, and the surroundings became very quiet. Yes, it was this very contradictory feeling. In the noisy environment, people had a strange feeling, and the battlefield became extremely quiet. I don't know who was the first to stop the attack and cast his eyes into the distance. If there is a first, there will be a second. Soon, the sound of gunfire on the battlefield became smaller and smaller until it disappeared completely. The whole world began to turn grey, and countless zombies, skeletons and other strange undead creatures emerged from the soil, including those who had just died in the melee. They dragged their broken arms and stood up from the ground again. The afterlife realm of the underworld? Old K exclaimed. Hello sir, you are not dead yet? At the edge of the battlefield, all the undead creatures were lined up on both sides, leaving a passage in the middle, as if to welcome someone's arrival. A man in grey armor walked slowly from the end of the passage. His speed was not fast, but he arrived at the center of the battlefield in an instant. With his arrival, all the undead creatures were ignited with grey flames. My name, are you worthy of mentioning it? He casually swung a sword, and a small grey flame flew towards Old K. However, it was this ball of fire that made Old K's face change drastically. Countless silver lights were swaying from Old K's magic circle, and the Tang sect kept shooting at the flames in front of Old K. But in an instant, the silver light was burned out by the grey flames. The grey flames finally fell on Old K. It was this ball of fire that caused Old K to suffer a severe blow in an instant, and fall to the ground. Old K! Wu Changkang exclaimed, and hurriedly flew over to catch it. Everyone in Shrek looked at Halosa in amazement. They didn't know who Halosa was, but they knew that Halosa could defeat Mr. K with one move. Jiang Xiaofeng's pupils shrank suddenly. Hades Daoluo, Halosa, 99th level Extreme Daoluo. The current Extreme Daoluo is divided into 3 levels. Quasi-demigod, demigod, and quasi-god, and Halosa is at the level of quasi-god. It can be said that, apart from the difference in battle armor, he and Yunming are definitely people of the same level. Maybe Yunming is stronger than Halosa, but definitely not much stronger. And as far as Jiang Xiaofeng knows, although the Holy Spirit Church does not have a 4-character battle armor, Halosa's battle armor seems to be between 3 and 4 characters. Facing such an existence, even if he uses the dangerous trigger, if he does not enter the overflow mode, he is probably not his opponent. Speaking of which, my target this time is not you. Halosa looked around and said lightly, it's just that Shrek, and I have a deep hatred. Since I have run into it, I will solve it by the way. The red level mecha, that had previously restrained Mr. K slowly flew to Halosa's side, and a trembling voice came from the mecha, that, "Your Majesty, we are not Shrek's people, can we leave?" Halosa glanced at him and smiled. Yes. The driver in the red level mecha was overjoyed. "Thank you, Your Majesty, I'll leave now." As he said, he drove the mecha away at a high speed. The next moment, the red level mecha and the driver inside were all broken into two. Looking at the incredible look of the driver before he died, Halosa smiled softly. "Not only do I allow you to leave, I can also personally send you off." "No, run." Someone shouted, and all the mechas turned on their thrusters and scattered at the fastest speed. Halosa sneered. "Run. Have you asked me?" With a point of the sword, all the undead ran towards the fleeing mechas. These undead seemed to be slow in their movements, but they were incredibly fast and powerful. Some weak mechas were even directly torn to pieces by these undead armies. But there were still a few black level mechas. With their superior performance and superb posture techniques, they broke through the siege of the undead army. However, it was all in vain. Now everyone is trapped in this field. Without sufficient strength, it is impossible to escape from here, no matter how fast. PS. Superluminal speed is not taken into account. Halosa's figure kept flashing, and every flash was accompanied by the destruction of a black level mecha. "Okay, now," Jiang Xiaofeng whispered, and then took out the diamond energy bottle from the drive and replaced it with a watch energy bottle. "Watch, are you ready?" Build up. The purple and silver armor was instantly put on, and the smoke gun also appeared in his hand. Watch energy bottle speeds up by manipulating time up to 300 times. Note: 555 is 1000 times faster, and the basic form of Kabuto is sublight speed. Combined with the ninja energy bottle that was originally inserted in the drive, it reaches a speed that is enough to generate an afterimage. It can be said that this is Jiang Xiaofeng's fastest form at present. A residual image flashed by, and Jiang Xiaofeng appeared in front of Guyu. A cloud of smoke spewed out from the smoke gun, and Guyu disappeared on the spot. The residual image flashed on the battlefield again, and several clouds of smoke spewed out. Wu Changkong, Tang Wulin, Zizi, Zhu Xiaoan and others disappeared on the spot one after another. Halosa has noticed the huge changes on the battlefield. Originally, he was teasing people on the battlefield with a cat and mouse mentality, but now, he found that he was wrong. In this world, there is such a magical weapon that can make a large number of people break through the realm of the limit Daoluo silently. The afterimages continued to flicker on the battlefield, and then disappeared from the battlefield, including Xingluo students, Shrek delegation, Daoluo delegation, etc. Just as Jiang Xiaofeng was about to continue to transfer others through the smoke gun, a grey sword light that swept across the entire field suddenly appeared. Jiang Xiaofeng had nowhere to hide, and was instantly hit by the sword light. Several flashes of lightning flashed on Jiang Xiaofeng's body, and the night system automatically released. A mouthful of blood spurted out of Jiang Xiaofeng's mouth. He looked up with difficulty. Those who had not yet been transferred away had turned into ashes at this moment. The smoke gun also fell not far ahead. What an idiot. Halosa walked over slowly. The world of Soul Masters is the law of the jungle. This is an eternal law. In order to save a group of people who have nothing to do with you, you risk your life for this. This is the first time I have seen someone like you. P.S. There were too many things today, and it was too late. Chapter 106 Dangerous Trigger. Tell me, what's the point of risking your life to save these people? Maybe they will thank you for a while, but as long as there are enough benefits, they will abandon you in an instant. Halosa patted Jiang Xiaofeng on the shoulder, and said in a serious tone, I used to be as naive as you, thinking that as long as I was sincere, they would be sincere to me. But all I got was endless bullying. Such an ugly world should be destroyed. This world is indeed ugly, but no world is beautiful from the beginning. Jiang Xiaofeng coughed up blood again, so someone needs to change it, and create a beautiful world. Halosa did not argue with Jiang Xiaofeng anymore, but walked in front of Jiang Xiaofeng, picked up the smoke gun from the ground, and kept looking at it in his hand. Is it used like this? As he said, Halosa pulled the trigger, but nothing happened. Halosa kept fiddling with the smoke gun in his hand, but the smoke gun still did not respond. What's the matter? Did it recognize the master? Halosa closed his eyes and began to try to search for the spiritual imprint inside. However, it didn't work. He didn't find any place to apply the mental imprint. Jiang Xiaofeng sneered. Humph, this is something I made. Not to mention you, even Yunming, or even God, don't even think about using this gun without my authorization. Halosa glanced at Jiang Xiaofeng coldly, and his tone was no longer as gentle as before. In that case, there's no need to keep you. Jiang Xiaofeng quickly took out the Pandora's box and slapped his palm on it. A strong repulsive force burst out from the Pandora's box, instantly knocking Halosa hundreds of meters away. With the increase of Jiang Xiaofeng's danger level and the transformation of his body into a data body, he successfully obtained more control over the Pandora's box. However, despite this, the control Jiang Xiaofeng obtained was still very weak. For example, now, although he successfully knocked Halosa hundreds of meters away, but Jiang Xiaofeng can only do this at most. If he wants to launch such a blow again, he must wait for a few months. However, it is enough now. Halosa looked at Jiang Xiaofeng in doubt. Jiang Xiaofeng stood up again with difficulty and took out a red trigger from behind. Hazard on the trigger was gently inserted into the driver, and Jiang Xiaofeng randomly took out 2 energy bottles, one red and one blue. Rabbit Tank Super Best Match. The joystick began to turn and turn non-stop, and a black metal frame that was completely different from before extended from the driver. Are you ready? Jiang Xiaofeng took a deep breath. Henshin, a large amount of current instantly surged from the driver, and the load brought by the forced secondary transformation was far beyond Jiang Xiaofeng's imagination. This kind of pain is far more than a simple electric shock. That kind of pain is as if his whole body is being stirred in the gears. The 2 heavy metal plates suddenly closed, and then slowly opened. Uncontrolled switch. Black hazard. Super dangerous. The black armor, which is completely different from the previous style, exudes a purple aura that symbolizes the unknown. The only colored part of the body is the red and blue eyes. The purple mist began to slowly spread over Halosa's afterlife realm, and then, this gray-white world shattered in an instant. With the shattering of the afterlife realm, all the undead creatures seemed to have lost their souls and fell limply to the ground. No, they didn't have souls in the first place. And Jiang Xiaofeng also felt a sense of relief. I didn't expect that the dangerous form has this ability. Jiang Xiaofeng murmured to himself. Although the destructive power is still not as strong as the power of the God Knight, it is still very domineering. What is this? Halosa looked at the person in front of him in doubt. Although his aura was still not as strong as his, everything in front of him was too weird. In the last second, Jiang Xiaofeng was like an ant who could be crushed to death at will, but now he was enough to pose a threat to himself. The crystal on Halosa's helmet flickered. 12 grey light gates suddenly appeared, and they surrounded Halosa, as if something was brewing inside. The 12 doors suddenly opened, and 12 strange people in armor walked out. They were all about 4 meters tall, and looked extremely oppressive. Those were the 12 knights of Halosa, each of whom possessed the strength of a super Daoluo. Kill. The 12 knights shouted loudly, waving their swords and shields, and rushing towards Jiang Xiaofeng. Jiang Xiaofeng kicked his legs, and rushed towards the 12 knights with a black afterimage. His speed was even faster than that of the rabbit tank bubble form. With a punch, the purple flame exploded on the knight who was it. After the transformation, Jiang Xiaofeng was nearly 2 meters tall, while the Grey Knight was more than 4 meters tall. The performance of the 2 sides seemed extremely different. However, the huge Grey Knight flew backwards in an instant, and at the same time, it also hit a knight behind it. The 2 dragged the ground, and flew backwards for hundreds of meters, and a gully of hundreds of meters was formed on the ground. Several Grey Knights who surrounded him raised their giant swords and slashed at Jiang Xiaofeng, but they only chopped a shadow. One of the Grey Knights instantly swept the giant sword in a circle, and an unavoidable sword energy spread in all directions. What Jiang Xiaofeng did was also very simple. With one punch, the entire sword energy was instantly shattered. Jiang Xiaofeng rushed towards the Grey Knight again. The speed of the rabbit energy bottle gave Jiang Xiaofeng great kinetic energy. Then came the power of the tank energy bottle. He swung his left fist. The Grey Knight in front of him could only block it with his shield. The next moment, the shield shattered. This was not over yet. Jiang Xiaofeng chased the Grey Knight's body that was flying backwards and kept punching. The purple flames kept exploding on the Grey Knight's body, and each punch was accompanied by a huge sonic boom. The Grey Knight's armor was shattered. Jiang Xiaofeng kicked hard, and the Grey Knight's body sank deeply into the mountain behind. Jiang Xiaofeng turned his head and looked at the Grey Knights rushing towards him. Shaking his dizzy head, he began to turn the joystick. Ready, go. Ready, go. Thick purple mist continued to erupt from Jiang Xiaofeng, adding a sense of foreboding to Jiang Xiaofeng at this time. As it finished, Jiang Xiaofeng jumped high and pounced downwards. A violent explosion was heard, followed by Holosa's angry roar. Just now, something impossible happened. Holosa's 12 knights accompanied him at the beginning, when he was not so powerful. Although these 12 knights did not have their own thoughts, they were just puppets that obeyed Holosa's orders. But it was in this situation that Holosa had a twisted emotion for these puppets. These puppets are immortal, because even if they die, they will be resurrected under the influence of the underworld rebirth field. However, even so, every time these puppets are destroyed, Holosa will have uncontrollable anger. But just now, Holosa felt a terrible thing. His puppets are really dead. That's right, they can no longer be resurrected through the underworld rebirth field, and they have completely left this world. I'll kill you. A shocking grey sword energy slashed out, and Jiang Xiaofeng had no way to avoid it, so he could only try his best to resist. A huge roar sounded, and Jiang Xiaofeng's body was deeply embedded in the mountain. His head drooped weakly, and he had obviously lost consciousness. Holosa walked over slowly, ready to give Jiang Xiaofeng one last blow. However, in the dark cave entrance, Jiang Xiaofeng slowly raised his drooping head. Maximum hazard on. Maximum hazard on. The strength is divided. The current dangerous form of the protagonist is invincible under the ultimate Daoluo before losing control. The initial bully is roughly a powerful ultimate Daoluo. The dangerous form, after losing control, is better than any existing ultimate Daoluo, but it is still not invincible under God. With the increase of the danger level, this strength will continue to increase. For example, the current protagonist no longer needs the bubble form to defeat Wu Changkang. Chapter 107 Overflow Mode. Holosa's figure instantly appeared in the cave in trance, but he only had time to see a pair of compound eyes, one red and one blue. Ugh. A mouthful of blood spurted out of Holosa's mouth, and the whole person instantly flew backwards at a faster speed. The joystick turned frantically. Ready, go. Overflow mode. A residual image flashed by, and Jiang Xiaofeng instantly appeared behind Holosa. Holosa barely controlled his body shape during the backward flight, holding the sword in his hand high, and the surviving 7 Grey Knights instantly turned into a stream of light and flew over. 7 grey lights gathered on his sword, and grey patterns instantly appeared on the sword body. This sword is not Holosa's martial spirit, but a divine weapon he spent half his life to create, the underworld chant. And this is the true appearance of the underworld chant. Of course, divine weapons are also divided into levels. Although the underworld chant is powerful, it can only be regarded as a semi-divine weapon after all. Otherwise, this sword would not be directly shattered by Gu Yuna's silver dragon spear. The 9th soul skill, the cross slash of Hades. A shocking cross sword light slashed out. Facing this shocking sword light, Jiang Xiaofeng did not dodge at all, but turned into a residual shadow, and rushed forward again. The drill crusher appeared in his hand. Ready, go. Vortex break. The cross sword light was instantly shattered by the power of the red energy slashed out by Jiang Xiaofeng, and the red energy continued to slash forward with an indomitable momentum. Holosa hurriedly dodged to the side, and the red energy almost slashed to the back by brushing his body. There was a loud bang behind him, and Holosa turned his head and looked back. I saw a hole that penetrated the entire mountain on the mountain behind him. Super dangerous. Holosa stared at the oppressive black figure in front of him in a daze. He didn't understand why a person's strength could change so drastically in a short period of time. At first, he only had the strength of a Soul Emperor, and only had an extremely fast speed. After removing the armor, he became able to kill with a single blow. Everything changed after he put on the black armor. Not only did he have the strength close to that of the ultimate Daoluo, he also had the ability to completely kill his knight. And now, He has the ability to surpass himself, and his fighting style has become even wilder. Wait. Holosa's many years of combat experience made him discover some problems instantly. Jiang Xiaofeng now seems to have lost consciousness and is only fighting with the instinct of destruction. In this way, he has a lot of room for manipulation. Maybe I can't beat you, but I can drag you to death together. For Holosa, his 12 knights are almost his entire world. Jiang Xiaofeng destroyed his world, so he would completely destroy it, even if he gambled his life. Yes, this seems incredible, but such a twisted mentality did happen to Holosa. The importance of these 12 knights is even greater than becoming a god for Holosa. Xingluo Continent Port. Zhu Xiaoan asked with a worried look on his face. Sister Yu, the captain hasn't come back for so long. Could something have happened? Not only him, but all the people who usually have a good relationship with Jiang Xiaofeng looked worried. Gu Yu shook his head gently. I don't know, but his life condition is still stable now. Moreover, if we go there Ashley, it will be easy to become a burden to him. Who is that Holosa? He defeated Mr. K with one move. ZZ couldn't help asking. No one answered. Obviously, they had never heard of the name Holosa. Yi Xinglan thought for a while and said, from the situation at that time, that person should be the legendary Extreme Daoluo. The captain should be fine. Wu Sido tried to comfort everyone. In case of any special situation, the captain should have time to pull the trigger. Tang Wulin shook his head and suddenly said, no, something should have happened. No one has been teleported here for a long time. Then, there are only two possibilities. One is that everyone has been teleported here, but if that's the case, then Xiaofeng should have come back. What about the other possibility? ZZ asked. Another possibility is that something special happened there. Suddenly, Gu Yu exclaimed and disappeared instantly, leaving everyone looking at each other in bewilderment. Ready, go. Purple flames gathered on Jiang Xiaofeng's fist. At this time, Holosa had also suffered heavy damage. His battle armor was broken, and his left arm was missing. There was a wound that completely penetrated his abdomen. But Holosa was still laughing wildly, as if he could not feel the pain at all. Ha ha ha, you are unconscious now, and you are fighting completely on instinct. In order to kill me, you can completely ignore the attacks on yourself. Jiang Xiaofeng, who had lost consciousness, could not hear Holosa's words at all, and he slowly walked towards Holosa. The last blow? What a coincidence, I'm also the last blow. Holosa smiled evilly, and the battle armor and the underworld chant in his hand were instantly broken, and grey flames ignited on his body. Burning battle armor, burning artifacts, burning life and soul. This was Holosa's last blow. After this blow, Holosa would not be able to survive no matter what. The two men simultaneously swung their fists at each other's chests. As it finished, a violent airflow instantly erupted on the battlefield. A large pit with a radius of nearly 1,000 meters appeared instantly, centered on the place where the two men fought. Shen Yi once said, because of the destruction of the environment of Daoluo continent by humans, the current Daoluo continent is extremely fragile. If the two gods fight against each other again as in history, the entire continent may be torn apart. Now, in the center of the battlefield between Jiang Xiaofeng and Holosa, countless spaces were broken, and it took a long time for them to slowly repair. Holosa burned everything he had, and then was hit by Jiang Xiaofeng's fatal blow in the dangerous form. Obviously, there was no possibility of survival. Jiang Xiaofeng had been severely injured before using the dangerous trigger and the strong load brought by the second transformation. In the previous battle, the out-of-control Jiang Xiaofeng resisted many attacks, and Holosa's last blow, which burned everything, hit Jiang Xiaofeng solidly. Gu Yu also appeared beside Jiang Xiaofeng at this moment. The moment she appeared, Jiang Xiaofeng turned his head and looked at Gu Yu. At that moment, Gu Yu felt like she was falling into an ice cave. Although she could not see any expression of Jiang Xiaofeng through the mask, Gu Yu felt a strong killing intent from it. As soon as Jiang Xiaofeng took a step, lightning flashed continuously from his body. The black armor then turned into blood-red light particles and dissipated. As we all know, the armor in dangerous form is very fragile. Xiaofeng! Gu Yu exclaimed, and caught Jiang Xiaofeng. What new form? What killing intent? It didn't matter at this moment. She only knew that Jiang Xiaofeng was now covered in blood and his body had suffered unprecedented damage. If it was just like this, Gu Yu was confident that she could save him. But she felt that there was a power in Jiang Xiaofeng's body that was constantly devouring Jiang Xiaofeng's vitality. By the way, the genius energy bottle. Gu Yu began to constantly grope Jiang Xiaofeng. However, she found nothing and could not find the location of the genius energy bottle. Jiang Xiaofeng's life force became weaker and weaker as time passed. No, there must be a way. Gu Yu's tears had already flowed down unconsciously. On the Daoluo continent, there are two ways to save people that can be called bugs. One is sacrifice, and the other is Acacia Heartbroken Red. Gu Yu does not have Acacia Heartbroken Red now. As for the other kind of sacrifice, Gu Yu has tried it, but Jiang Xiaofeng's physique is extremely special, and he cannot sacrifice at all. The only thing she can do now is to continuously inject her life light into Jiang Xiaofeng's body. However, she can only hang on to Jiang Xiaofeng's last breath. But no one noticed. The dragon energy bottle in Nao's hand emitted a silver light at this moment. And the rabbit energy bottle on Jiang Xiaofeng also emitted a golden light at this moment. The two rays of light were fleeting, but the resonance they produced made the genius energy bottle float up from nowhere. The genius energy bottle floated quietly in the air, emitting a trace of colorful light. Gu Yu didn't know what happened. She only knew that Jiang Xiaofeng was saved. Online classes start tomorrow. Chapter 108 Awakening. Below the god level, he can no longer be killed. Yes. Not only that, this overloaded battle will make him stronger at a speed far beyond our imagination. In that case, Jiang Xiaofeng slowly opened his eyes. Strange ceiling. Wake up, the captain is awake. This is a girl's voice. The voice is familiar, he should know it. But Jiang Xiaofeng has not reacted for a while, and his mind is in a mess. There was a noisy sound of footsteps around, and then several voices sounded in his ears. How do you feel now, Captain? Boss, do you feel okay? Stop, let me slow down. Jiang Xiaofeng stretched out his hand to signal them to stop. Jiang Xiaofeng sat quietly for a while and sorted out the thoughts in his mind. His memory ended when he was hit by Hilosa's angry attack after using the dangerous trigger, and he had no idea what happened afterwards. How long has it been since we were attacked? Jiang Xiaofeng asked. ZZ calculated. Not long. Just a few hours. Yuan and Yehui also nodded. Yes, no more than 3 hours. Then how did I come back? Jiang Xiaofeng asked curiously. Zhu Xiaoan said with lingering fear, Sister Gu Yu brought you back. You were covered in blood at the time, and we were all shocked. But when we checked, you didn't have any wounds on your body. The only problem is that you are a little weak. You will be fine after a good sleep. Genius energy bottle? Jiang Xiaofeng muttered to himself thoughtfully, but how did Gu Yu take it out? After thinking for a while, Jiang Xiaofeng did not come to any conclusion. Okay, ask whatever you want to ask. Jiang Xiaofeng thought that they should ask him what happened at the time. However, the reality was still different from Jiang Xiaofeng's idea. Boss, I'm sorry, ZZ said first with his head down. ZZ looked up at Jiang Xiaofeng, who was puzzled, and continued, I don't know when it started, but I have been holding you back. Especially when we were in Shrek Academy, Zhu Xiaoyan, and I were holding you back. When that Alosa appeared, I couldn't even move. This time, Zhu Xiaoyan rarely refuted ZZ. Because ZZ was right, and before her martial soul evolved, she was the weakest in the entire team. Even the martial soul evolution was completed under the guidance of Jiang Xiaofeng. Even Yi Xinglan, who was always proud, said a little frustrated at this moment, I have always thought that my strength is very strong. Although I also know that I'm still a long way from being a real strong man, I still can't help feeling proud. It was not until I met that extreme Daoluo that I realized I can't do anything now. Seeing this, Zulisi couldn't help but comfort her. Sister Xinglan, this is not your problem. Tang Wulin said nothing on the side, but it was obvious that he was not feeling well at the moment. Wu Sido looked at Tang Wulin and wanted to say something, but in the end she didn't say it. Speaking of which, this incident has dealt a heavy blow to everyone in Shrek. Although they also know that their soul sect level strength is nothing, they still inevitably feel proud. How should I put it? This mentality has both good and bad sides. Some people will work harder to maintain this sense of pride. Some people are prone to arrogance, relying on their talents to do whatever they want. But no matter whether this mentality is good or bad, with the appearance of Hilosa, this proud mentality was instantly shattered. It was the first time they felt that life and death were completely in the hands of others. This feeling is definitely not good, just like you worked hard to complete 9 years of compulsory education, but in the end you didn't even get into a junior college in the college entrance examination. People exploded on the spot. Jiang Xiaofeng scratched his head. Jiang Xiaofeng didn't know what to do in this situation. Well, if you are like this, I don't know what to say. Anyway, as long as you practice to the same level, your strength should be stronger than that Hilosa. In the words of Teacher Wu, since you know you are weak, why are you still idle here? Having said that, most of the time, the mentality cannot be adjusted by a few words from others. They all need time, and the adjustment of the mentality can only be done by themselves. By the way, where is Guyu? Jiang Xiaofeng looked around, but did not see Guyu. She is outside. Zizi looked out the window, hesitated for a moment, and said, but she looks very unhappy. Just wish you the best, boss. The other 6 people of Shrek also cast a wish expression at Jiang Xiaofeng, and then left the room together. Jiang Xiaofeng sighed, put on his shoes, and walked out of the door. This is a hotel by the sea. They lived in this hotel before taking the Soul Guide train. And now, under the power of the smoke gun, they are back here again. Guyu lay on the balcony railing and looked at the sea in the distance quietly, as if he didn't notice Jiang Xiaofeng's arrival. But Jiang Xiaofeng knew that this was impossible. With Guyu's cultivation, even if most of his power was still sealed, it was impossible for him not to notice the situation behind him. Jiang Xiaofeng walked to Guyu and opened his mouth, but he didn't know what to say. His intuition told him that no matter what he said now, it would be wrong. After a long time, Guyu took the lead in breaking the silence. Are you going too far? Jiang Xiaofeng was stunned. Why do you always like to take it alone? Guyu's tone seemed very calm, but in the calmness, he suppressed his anger before facing Deshan, or this time facing Hilosa. You completely abandoned me. No, at that time. Jiang Xiaofeng was about to explain, but Guyu interrupted him. Do you know why I dared to come to Shrek Academy alone without any soul beast protection? Huh? Jiang Xiaofeng couldn't help but be stunned. He really didn't know why. In his previous life, when he was watching Dao Dalu, he always thought that this was a plot requirement. Guyu turned around and said seriously, the reason why I can suppress Deshan and the others is not because of the title of Soul Beast Master, but because of my strength. Although I chose to rebuild, if I pay a certain price, I can still temporarily regain a small part of my strength. Although I can't break through the limitations of this plane, I can still sweep across the people on this Daolo continent. Thinking back, Jiang Xiaofeng remembered a few clips. One was that Guyu shocked Deshan with his aura. There was another place where Guyu slapped Deshan aside with one claw. Although the cost of doing this is relatively high, it is not unbearable. Guyu looked at Jiang Xiaofeng and said word by word, I said I would accompany you. But please don't break the contract yourself. Jiang Xiaofeng was silent for a long time. Sorry, it's my problem. I always arrogantly think that I can solve all problems by myself. Sometimes, I take all the things on myself and leave all my companions behind. That is not a sense of responsibility, but arrogance. Arrogantly thinking that I can do everything, and at the same time, underestimate the strength of my companions. A gust of fragrant wind blew in my face. Jiang Xiaofeng suddenly felt that he was hugged tightly by someone. It was Guyu. Moreover, she was still shaking in his arms. Is Guyu crying? Do you know how worried I was? Guyu's voice had already started to cry. I wanted to go back directly, but I was worried that I would disturb you, so I could only stay where I was and feel your life state. Tears had already dripped onto Jiang Xiaofeng's shoulders unconsciously, as if to vent all the fear, hesitation, and uneasiness before. When I went over, you were already dying. Do you know? I had tried all the methods at that time, but none of them worked. It was not until later that the genius energy bottle floated out by itself that I was able to save you. Jiang Xiaofeng patted Guyu's back and listened to Guyu's crying quietly. Who am I? Who gave me these instructions? Who is the Tangsen they are talking about? I hope the emotional drama is not broken. I heard that those who are not good at writing will die if they touch the emotional drama. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109, Zingluo City. This was the second time that Jiang Xiaofeng and his team set out for Zingluo City. This time, everyone in Shrek unanimously decided to forbid Tang Wulin from riding the Soul Guide train. Although Elder K heard about their decision, he did not object. Poor Tang Wulin had to borrow a motorcycle from Jiang Xiaofeng and rode all the way to Zingluo City according to the navigation. Sure enough, without Tang Wulin on the train, they were safe and sound all the way without any problems. As for how Jiang Xiaofeng escaped from Hilosa, they did not ask too much, just thinking that an unknown strong man who passed by happened to save him. The traces of the battle at the scene seemed to prove this point. The entire battlefield seemed to have been plowed by someone, and the collapsed mountain tops and hundreds of meters deep pits were everywhere. It was a troubled time. Elder K sighed in his heart. The news that Hilosa was still alive was enough to cause a major earthquake in the Soul Master world. And now, it seems that another extreme Daoluo who is comparable to him, or even stronger than him, has emerged. She didn't know that Hilosa was dead. Because he burned everything of his own, it was impossible for him to leave behind a corpse or a residual soul. After arriving at Zingluo City, everyone rested for a day. The time for the audience with the Emperor of Zingluo Empire was set for the afternoon of the next day. Not only the audience, but also an apology. The first group to attack the Daoluo delegation was an organization called Green Skull, which was an anti-government armed force. Although the Zingluo Empire government cannot be blamed for this attack, the Zingluo royal family must do a good job on the surface. Moreover, if it is investigated further, the Zingluo Empire may also end up with a reputation for disorderly public security. Fortunately, Jiang Xiaofeng rescued everyone in the delegation. Otherwise, if the delegation suffered heavy casualties, even if the final attack was caused by the Holy Spirit Church, the Zingluo Empire would still have to bear a major diplomatic incident. Just like before on the Titanic, the Zingluo Empire asked for a formal dress, and Jiang Xiaofeng naturally wore the one prepared by Guyu. After hearing the news, Tang Wulin and Zulizhi found someone to make a set of clothes for them. Because of Zulizhi's figure, he didn't look very good even in a formal dress. As for Tang Wulin, just now on the road, Tang Wulin met a fat man. "Hello, my name is AG, you can also call me Brother G." Tang Wulin always felt that this man was weird, so he ran away by himself. At the welcoming ceremony, the Emperor of Zingluo Empire Dai Xianling first exchanged credentials as usual, and then apologized to the Sun Moon delegation and the Shrek delegation. To Jiang Xiaofeng's surprise, Dai Xianling also expressed his gratitude to him in person. Suddenly, the whole audience cast surprised eyes on Jiang Xiaofeng. Jiang Xiaofeng smiled awkwardly. Speaking of which, Jiang Xiaofeng didn't understand the etiquette of such occasions. Do you expect a technology geek to take the initiative to learn this? Therefore, when participating in this state ceremony, Jiang Xiaofeng has been cautious in his words and deeds. Anyway, he doesn't need to do anything here. Now, Dai Xianling actually took the initiative to find Jiang Xiaofeng and thanked him for making this diplomatic incident a small matter. Jiang Xiaofeng could only imitate some costume dramas he had seen in his previous life and said something in an appropriate way. "You're welcome, Your Majesty. This is what I should do." Dai Xianling was a relatively capable emperor. In the ancient times of his previous life, he could be called a wise ruler of the founding of a country. Such an emperor would naturally not get entangled in such trivial issues. Suddenly, Tang Wulin's golden dragon body was released instantly, and countless blue-silver emperor vines also swarmed out from the ground. 4 soul rings, 3 purple and 1 black, were also released instantly. Oh my god, Wulin, what are you doing? ZZ couldn't help but shout. The whole audience was shocked by Tang Wulin, and countless soul guide weapons pointed at Tang Wulin. Dai Xianling was right next to him. Tang Wulin released his martial spirit at this time. No matter how you look at it, he is going to assassinate his majesty. Wu Changkan shouted in a low voice, Tang Wulin, take back your martial spirit. Tang Wulin still didn't react at this time. He looked around in confusion. Where did I kill someone? Jiang Xiaofeng slapped his head. Good guy, I almost forgot about this. More than 10 years have passed, and all the plots have been almost forgotten. Besides, the timeline has changed dramatically. If we still follow the original plot, we will die. Did you just hear a girl's voice? Jiang Xiaofeng rubbed his head and asked. Tang Wulin nodded. Yes, I just heard a woman shouting to kill people. I see. You take back your martial spirit first. No one is killing people here. If this goes on, something will really happen. Jiang Xiaofeng sighed helplessly. Dai Xianling glanced into the distance and said lightly, for the sake of the friendship between our two countries, I will not pursue it this time. It will not happen again. Tang Wulin nodded blankly. Was he really just dreaming? But it was not right. How did Jiang Xiaofeng know that it was a girl's voice? Xiaofeng, what happened in the afternoon? Tang Wulin, who had racked his brains, but couldn't figure out what was going on, could only ask Doraemon helplessly. Jiang Xiaofeng was sitting in a chair, eating dessert at the banquet, and looking at the banquet in front of him boredly. Seeing Tang Wulin asking, Jiang Xiaofeng explained, in the Xingluo royal family, there is a person named Dai Juna, who is very eccentric. She is the only princess in the Xingluo royal family and the most beloved daughter of Dai Xianling. At the same time, she is also the apple of all the brothers' eyes. She has twin martial souls, namely the Spirit Eye and the Nether Spirit Cat. Spirit Eye? The same martial soul as Huo Heo? Tang Wulin asked thoughtfully. If it is the Spirit Eye martial soul, then everything is easy to explain. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded. Yes, the same body martial soul as Huo Heo. But because she lacks something crucial, she is still not as good as Huo Heo. The crucial thing, what is it? Jiang Xiaofeng said solemnly, cheat. But, Jiang Xiaofeng said slowly, she seems to be favored, but she is actually quite pitiful. Why? Tang Wulin asked puzzledly. This Dai Juna has no worries about food and clothing, and her family is also very happy. No matter how you look at it, she has nothing to do with the word pitiful, right? Jiang Xiaofeng explained. I just checked. There is a rule in the Xingluo royal family that the princess must be married before the age of 15. Even if she doesn't know the fiancé before that. How can this be? Tang Wulin asked dissatisfiedly. His sense of justice made it impossible for him to accept such a thing. Jiang Xiaofeng sighed. This can be regarded as a dispute of ideas. Some people think that they should have the right to love freely. Others think that, since they enjoy the fine clothes and food brought by the family, they should take on the responsibility of the family. Then is there any way to help her? Tang Wulin asked unwillingly. Jiang Xiaofeng smiled evilly. Not that there is no. Do you want to listen? Tang Wulin instinctively felt that Jiang Xiaofeng had some bad ideas, but in the end, he still couldn't restrain his curiosity. What method? Since Dai Juna teased you in the afternoon, it means that she is more interested in you. There is a saying that curiosity is the first step to fall, as long as you can get her. Get lost. Tang Wulin said angrily. Also, I heard from them that Wu Sido seems to like you a little. Maybe you can. Tang Wulin's face suddenly turned red. Get lost. What a bad idea. After saying that, he ran back to his seat. Chapter 110 Fighting Spirit Mission. Seeing Tang Wulin running back to his seat in a panic, Jiang Xiaofeng smiled unkindly. Tang Wulin's looks are really easy to attract girls. After eating and drinking, Jiang Xiaofeng, who was bored, started playing mobile games. Suddenly, he heard someone shouting in the center of the stage. I have always admired the culture of Daluo Continent and Shrek Academy. Today, I see that it is indeed well deserved. Excuse me, are you willing to be my boyfriend? Jiang Xiaofeng looked up in astonishment and looked towards the center of the banquet hall. Tang Wulin was looking at the girl in palace dress in front of him with a confused face. and the words Jiang Xiaofeng just heard were obviously from the girl in front of Tang Wulin. If the guess is right, this person should be Dejuna, the little princess of Xingluo Empire. As long as you can win the championship of the Youth Advanced Soul Master Elite competition of the All Continent, I will agree to be your girlfriend. After saying that, Dejuna ran away, leaving only Tang Wulin with a confused face and a group of people who wanted to kill Tang Wulin. Good guy. Jiang Xiaofeng subconsciously looked at Wu Siduo. Wu Siduo at this time exuded a dangerous aura, giving people the feeling that she was about to go berserk at any time. This was not over yet. Dai Xianling came over at some point and kept looking at Tang Wulin. What's your name? Your Majesty, my name is Tang Wulin. Tang Wulin bowed and saluted. Dai Xianling smiled slightly. I look forward to your wonderful performance in the competition. After saying that, he turned and left. Not only that, Elder K also walked behind him and patted Tang Wulin on the shoulder. Come on. Tang Wulin asked with a wry smile. Can I not participate in this competition? Elder K said lightly. You can choose not to participate. But I have to remind you that this trip is an assessment of you by the Academy. It is also a test for the new generation of Shrek 7 Devils. If you choose to avoid the competition, you will also lose the qualification to enter the inner courtyard. That, Elder K. Jiang Xiaofeng walked over and asked, Elder K, do I have to participate too? The highest prize of this competition is a 1,000-year soul bone. In fact, the 1,000-year soul bone is definitely a precious prize. It's just that most readers are used to seeing the protagonists of Daoluo having 100,000-year soul bones, so they look down on this 1,000-year soul bone. However, no matter how advanced the soul bone is, it has no effect on Jiang Xiaofeng. Moreover, Jiang Xiaofeng, whose danger level has reached 4.0, is enough to beat the entire single-player competition, even if he only uses a basic form. In the single-player competition, the most powerful opponent is Long Yu, the 6th-ring Soul Emperor, with the 2-word battle armor. If Jiang Xiaofeng's danger level is still 3.5, he needs to use the bubble form to win the battle. But now, even using the basic form is enough to defeat him. Mr. K pondered for a while. Your situation is quite special. In fact, the Academy is not going to let you join the Shrek 7 Devils. It's not because you are not capable enough. On the contrary, the Academy values you very much, but because your situation is not suitable to become one of the Shrek 7 Devils. I can't go into details about the specific situation. In short, the Academy has other arrangements for you. This competition, whether you participate or not, will not have any impact on you. Okay, I understand. Thank you, Mr. K. The Continental Youth Advanced Soul Master competition began, and Jiang Xiaofeng finally did not choose to sign up for the competition. First, there is no challenge, and second, there is no need. The prize is not rich, so why should he show off? If he shows off Ashley, he may become the target of public criticism. Now, everyone in Shrek has a full set of 1-word battle armor, which was made by Jiang Xiaofeng himself. Even Yuan Enya, whose battle armor was made after Jiang Xiaofeng's guidance. I think this game should not be a big problem for them. This is indeed the case. The opponents on the first day were easily defeated. Tang Wulin's side is relatively difficult. He confronted a 5-ring Soul King who also has a 1-word battle armor. But in the end, Tang Wulin still won easily. Yuan Enya, who is now in a state of being unloved. In the original timeline, her relationship with Zizi started from those accidents. But now, Zizi is not a work-study student at all, so naturally he can't have too many intersections with Yuan Enya, who is a work-study student. If Yuan Enya hadn't accidentally joined the Mathematics, Physics and Chemistry Association, they wouldn't even know each other. Zizi and Zhu Xiaoan seem to have developed feelings for each other over time. Although they are together and tease each other every day, they feel uncomfortable if they don't see each other for a day. There are only 2 games on the first day of Shrek. One is Tang Wulin's game, and the other is Yuan Enyahu's game. It only took one morning, and the first day of the game was over. Jiang Xiaofeng returned to the dormitory. Suddenly, Jiang Xiaofeng felt a wave coming from his body, and then he took out a badge from his body. The surface of the badge was constantly emitting a purple halo. Is this a fighter call? That's right, the light emitted by Jiang Xiaofeng's badge is purple instead of yellow. After completing several tasks, Jiang Xiaofeng was officially promoted from the yellow level fighter of the Fighting Soul Hall to the purple level fighter. The main reason is that Jiang Xiaofeng's efficiency in completing tasks is too high. Since Jiang Xiaofeng appeared, a large number of bounty tasks have been cleared. According to this trend, Jiang Xiaofeng can be promoted to a black level fighter in 1 or 2 years at most. Rabbit tank form. Yeah, build change. Jiang Xiaofeng transformed into the basic form of build change, in which the mechanical creator drove quickly to the Tang sect branch in Xingluo continent. It took about 10 minutes for Jiang Xiaofeng to arrive inside the Tang sect. A Tang sect disciple guarding the door stopped him. Stop, no one is allowed to enter without a fighter uniform. This made Jiang Xiaofeng a little bit amused. He really didn't have a fighter uniform. Before, the Tang sect also tried to make a special fighter costume for Jiang Xiaofeng, but in that case, the fighter costume would lose its meaning. The purpose of the fighter uniform is to hide the identity of the disciples of the Fighting Soul Hall. The uniform fighter costume has the best effect of hiding the identity. If Jiang Xiaofeng's fighter costume is different from others, then the uniform will lose its meaning. If this is also the case, it is better to use the armor of the Knight system. In short, Jiang Xiaofeng's Knight system has not come into the public eye, so the Tang sect will no longer be entangled in Jiang Xiaofeng's fighter costume. These things are naturally recorded in the Tang sect's network, but it does not mean that all Tang sect disciples know about it. When they were at the Tang sect headquarters before, no one stopped them, because they had informed the gatekeepers of the Daohan Hall in advance. But it was different on the Xingluo continent. This is my Daohan badge. Jiang Xiaofeng took out his badge and proved his identity first. You can check it. My armor has been certified by the Tang sect. Wearing this armor is equivalent to a fighter uniform. The gatekeeper looked at the badge in Jiang Xiaofeng's hand, confirmed that it was real, and then checked it doubtfully. Soon, he looked up at Jiang Xiaofeng and said apologetically, "Sorry, it's my fault. Please come in." "It's okay, you are just doing your job." Jiang Xiaofeng walked into the Daohan Hall. More than 10 people had gathered in the Daohan Hall. Jiang Xiaofeng's strange outfit naturally attracted a lot of attention, but since the gatekeepers agreed to let him go, they didn't say much. The one who summoned them was a black level fighter. Obviously, this was a collective mission. The one who commanded this operation was the black level fighter in front of him. Jiang Xiaofeng was not averse to being commanded by others. Some people would reject the command of others because of their own stronger strength, and they wanted to fight for leadership in everything. But Jiang Xiaofeng did not have the concept that strength was everything. In his opinion, discipline was more important. Fighters were still gathering in an endless stream. Suddenly, a white level fighter exclaimed, "What are you doing?" Jiang Xiaofeng looked in the direction of the voice, only to see that the white level fighter shook his head and stopped talking. There was a voice changer installed on the fighter's mask, so Jiang Xiaofeng could not judge directly from the voice, but if he guessed correctly, this white level fighter should be Tang Wulin. Okay, enough people. The black level fighter pressed the medal in his hand, and the summoning signal stopped releasing. "I'm asking for monthly tickets and recommendation tickets. It's dropped a lot recently." Chapter 111 Bomb Disposal. Information Warfare. The target of this mission is the Green Skull Resistance Organization. We have received reliable information that they are preparing to carry out a terrorist activity in Xingluo City. We have already discovered their specific location of action. I will lead the team this time, and you must also be prepared for battle. Then, the black level fighter took out a special mobile phone and scanned Jiang Xiaofeng. "Chuanqi? So that's it. The information says that you are also a super soul guide, proficient in all areas of soul guides? Is that right?" "Yes." Jiang Xiaofeng nodded. "That's good." Although Jiang Xiaofeng could not see the expression of the black level fighter through the mask, but he could hear that the black level fighter should be very surprised at this time. The Green Skull's terrorist action this time will use soul guide bombs, so we need someone to defuse the bombs. Although there are already some specialized bomb disposal personnel here, the manpower is still a little dwarfed. So, I hope you can help defuse the bomb. "No problem." Jiang Xiaofeng agreed readily. "Okay. Our target this time is extremely brutal. To protect the safety of civilians, we are authorized to kill the target directly. Confirm the identity one more time. All the fighters took out their fighter badges. Under the power of the black level fighter metal, all the fighter metals began to emit light. 4 purple lights, 12 yellow lights, and 14 white lights. Xiaofeng, is he already a purple level fighter? Tang Wulin looked at the metal emitting purple light in Jiang Xiaofeng's hand, muttered in his heart, and then rekindled his fighting spirit. Then I can't fall behind. Let's go. The specific action plan will be arranged on the way. The black level fighter ordered. Everyone passed the elevator and came to several specially made soul guide cars. The glass of the soul guide car is one-sided transparent glass. The outside can't see inside, but the inside can see outside. The interior space is also very large. 3 cars can easily seat 31 people, including Jiang Xiaofeng wearing the Night System armor. After sitting in their respective seats, the soul guide car started. Jiang Xiaofeng happened to be in the same car as the black level fighter, while Tang Wulin was in another car. This is the equipment for your operation. The black level fighter took out 10 packages from his storage bracelet and handed them to everyone in the car. Jiang Xiaofeng opened the backpack, which contained an electronic map and a small communicator. The operating interface in the mask began to flash continuously and quickly connected the signals of the electronic map and the communicator to the night system. After arriving at the destination, the combatants will provide cover and must provide an absolutely safe environment for all bomb disposal personnel. Note that it is absolutely. Do you understand? Understood. All the fighters said in unison. Chuanqi, the information uses the word super to describe you, so you must be extraordinary. You will lead the bomb disposal team this time, and I will lead the team to provide full cover. Is that okay? Okay. Jiang Xiaofeng said seriously. When you arrive at the destination, everyone get off the car and be careful to hide. The mission area this time is the largest cinema in Xingluo City, which covers a large area. But even so, the cinema is crowded. The 31 members of the Daohan Hall quickly hid themselves. After arriving at their destination, the Green Skull organization's action time is at night. The Daohan Hall does not know the location of their lair, but only knows that the attack site tonight is in this place. Therefore, they can only ambush in the cinema in advance and wait for the arrival of the Green Skull organization. As night fell, the Green Skull organization began to flow into the cinema from all directions. Jiang Xiaofeng and his team did not choose to intercept them directly, but quietly waited for them to disperse. If they detonated the bomb now, it would definitely cause heavy casualties. Finally, the members of the Green Skull organization were completely scattered in various places in the cinema, and they didn't know that their every move was under the surveillance of the Daohan Hall. Have you confirmed which ones are the Green Skulls? Asked the black level fighter. For this operation, the Daohan Hall was fully prepared. Even if the people of the Green Skull organization were completely mixed in the crowd, the Daohan Hall could find him. Confirmed. The combat team is on standby. The bomb disposal team has entered the target area and is on standby. Jiang Xiaofeng reported in the public channel and then transferred the communication to the group channel. The preliminary scan results are out and the locations of most bombs have been determined. I will mark the locations on your map. Different colors represent the status of the bombs. Red is extremely dangerous, yellow is dangerous, and green is defuse. After receiving the order, everyone will go to defuse the bombs as quickly as possible. Also, do what you can. If you encounter a bomb with a complex structure that you cannot defuse yourself, ask for help in time, and don't be too proud. Do you understand? Understood. Most of the people who appeared here have performed several missions. They naturally know the importance of enforcing orders. Although it is not as disciplined as in the real army, the discipline is definitely not bad. Soon, Jiang Xiaofeng uploaded the 3-dimensional stereoscopic map of the cinema to the group channel. This 3-dimensional image is extremely detailed, and the specific location of each bomb is marked. Not only that, this 3-dimensional image is also a dynamic image, monitoring the location of the bomb at any time. Combat team action. Bomb disposal team standby. The black level fighter ordered. As the order was issued, all members of the combat team began to act silently. Kill one enemy and find a bomb. Kill 3 enemies and find 2 bombs. There are many enemies ahead. Requesting support. Got it. Where are you? I'll go there now. South of area 1. Don't alert the enemy when you come over. Got it. Well done. Area 1 has been completely cleared and several bombs have been found. Request the assistance of the bomb disposal team. Got it. Jiang Xiaofeng responded and then emphasized again in the group channel. Remember, our bomb disposal operation must not fail. The efficiency of bomb disposal can be slowed down appropriately, but there must be no mistakes. Do you understand? Got it. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded. Action. The bomb disposal personnel who appeared here all have good skills. Although they are not as good as Jiang Xiaofeng, they will never drag their feet in such occasions. After quickly dismantling bombs one after another, Jiang Xiaofeng switched channels again and activated the voice changer at the same time. Everything is normal here. The bombs have been installed. I was installing the bomb just now and didn't reply immediately. That's good. The other party on the communication was obviously relieved. All units should be careful. If you find anything wrong, detonate the bomb directly. It's a pity that the fighting spirit hall didn't come. Otherwise, I would definitely let them die here. Got it. Jiang Xiaofeng smiled. Now that I have discovered your channel, the follow-up will be much simpler. Area number 1 has been cleared and all bombs have been dismantled. Awesome. So fast. I've never seen such a fast bomb clearing speed when I was doing similar tasks before. This time the team leader is really awesome. No matter how deep the bomb is hidden, our team leader can find it all for you in a short time. It's simply amazing. Okay, stop chatting. Is this a place to chat? If something happens, can you bear the responsibility? At this time, the leader of the Green Skull team always felt that something was wrong. Each unit should report the situation again. Everything is normal. The bomb has been installed, no abnormalities. A series of replies told him that the operation went smoothly and there were no problems. But he was still a little uneasy. This operation seemed to be too smooth. Maybe I really worry too much. He thought to himself with self-mockery. I'm used to fighting with the people of the Fighting Soul Hall. It's a bit strange that no one is messing up. What he didn't know was that his men were constantly being killed by the Fighting Soul Hall. This is a terrible thing about information warfare. Ask for monthly tickets. Recommendation tickets. Chapter 112 Passing. Area number 2 has been cleared. Area number 3 has been cleared. By the way, we've been operating for so long. Why is there no response from the Green Skulls? Oh, yeah. Could this be a trap? Don't worry, I did it. Jiang Xiaofeng said with a smile on the communication channel. I accessed their communication channel and disguised myself as a Green Skull member. Every time their boss asked how things were going, I would say everything was normal. In this way, I could definitely keep it a secret from him for a long time. Oh my god, is this possible? Good boy, no wonder the word super was added to your profile. I've only heard of Super Download before, but now I've seen a Super Soul Master for the first time. Jiang Xiaofeng smiled. Okay, there's one last place. There should be a few big bosses at the end. For safety reasons, it is recommended that those below the level of a 2 character battle armor master should not go there. That's right. Fighters below the purple level should not go to the last area. Chuanqi, the information says that your armor is a soul guided creation between battle armor and mecha. After you wear it, you can exert strength far beyond that of an ordinary 2-word battle armor master. The black level fighter asked in a deep voice. That's right, and no matter how strange the opponent's ability is, I can quickly find an ability to restrain him and win the battle. Okay, you will attack with us later. It is estimated that the really powerful bomb should be in their hands. With you here, it will be much more convenient. This is Behind the Screen, a new animated film released in recent years. Fox Spirit Matchmaker is being played in the screening room. It tells the tragic love story between Dongfang Yuchu and Tushan Hanghang. That's right, this movie is adapted from Jiang Xiaofeng's comics and is a rising star in the film industry in recent years. However, it is not possible to push some old movies off the altar for a while. What Huou Heio vs. Emperor Shine and Battle of the Two Gods are Several people were busy behind the screen, and a metal object was being assembled slowly by them. "Everything is ready, let's start," said one of them. Vortex break. A sky blue rocket shadow flew rapidly from nowhere. The leader quickly dodged to the side, but the rocket turned a corner during the flight and hit the leader's chest. After hitting the leader, the rocket did not explode immediately, but used a strong thrust to push him to smash the wall and fall out of the cinema. This was not over yet, and 3 more rockets flew over, and the same method was used to push the remaining 3 people out of the cinema. 4 consecutive explosions sounded outside the cinema, alarming everyone watching the movie. Jiang Xiaofeng put down the drill crusher in his hand and shouted to the black level fighter and 3 purple level fighters beside him, "You go and deal with the last 4 people. I'll go to defuse the bomb." The 4 consecutive kills just now hardly brought any burden to Jiang Xiaofeng. Jiang Xiaofeng could use the initial form of the ultimate move almost at will. The black level fighter patted Jiang Xiaofeng on the shoulder and said with some joy, "Well done." Then he rushed out with 3 purple level fighters. Jiang Xiaofeng squatted down and looked at the bomb in front of him, sneering, "A level 6 soul guide, what a big deal." As he said that, Jiang Xiaofeng took out various tools from behind and kept operating on the soul guide bomb. In about a minute, the entire soul guide bomb was completely disassembled by Jiang Xiaofeng. A level 6 soul guide should be able to sell for a good price. The battle outside was almost one-sided, 4 against 4, and the other side also had a 3-character battle armor master. It seemed that this was a fair battle, but the reality was that they were not only suppressed, but they couldn't even escape. You know, there is a huge gap in strength between battle armor masters of the same level. Those who can enter the soul fighting hall are at least the top of the same level, not to mention invincible. On the other hand, the Green Skull organization's strength was a bit horrible. They were not considered strong among their peers. To make matters worse, they were hit by Jiang Xiaofeng's fatal blow before the battle began, and everyone was seriously injured. Otherwise, even if they couldn't beat the 4 fighters of the Tang sect, they wouldn't be unable to escape. About a few minutes later, the 4 Green Skulls were killed by several fighters. They didn't understand, until they died, why the situation was so good in the last second, and the next second, all the operatives were wiped out. Report, all the Green Skull operatives have been wiped out, none of them escaped. Let's make the number of casualties of the team members 0, and the number of civilian casualties 0. Okay, all the members who participated in the mission this time will be awarded a 3rd-class merit. The black level fighter said with satisfaction. "Oh, by the way, Chuanqi, you provided great technical support, which directly contributed to the successful completion of the mission, and you will be awarded a 1st-class merit." Report, when intercepting the Green Skull organization's deserters, Basin performed relatively well, and killed nearly 10 enemy soldiers by himself. "Oh," the black level fighter said in surprise, "then Basin will be awarded a 2nd-class merit." Basin. Is it Tang Wulin? If it is Tang Wulin, then there is nothing surprising. On the way back to Tangmen, Jiang Xiaofeng suddenly said, "Hey Yi, is it convenient for you to leave your contact information? Because there is only one black level fighter in this operation. His code name is Hey Yi." Hey Yi said doubtfully, "The identities of the members of the Daohan Hall are kept secret from each other, and they are not allowed to check each other's information at will, unless there are special circumstances." "That's right, I should need to contact you in a few days. In this battle, I found the communication channel of the Green Skull organization, and I should be able to find many of their bases by following the clues." Jiang Xiaofeng explained. "You mean, you can find the bases of the Green Skull organization?" He Yi's eyes lit up, and he said excitedly. Jiang Xiaofeng pondered for a while. "I can only say that most of them should be found. But I'm afraid they don't have a real headquarters, just like the Holy Spirit Church. In fact, if the Green Skull was just a simple resistance organization, Jiang Xiaofeng would not target them like this. After all, this belongs to his internal affairs. But the Green Skull is not a resistance organization in essence, but a terrorist organization, so the nature is different. Jiang Xiaofeng can be said to hate a terrorist organization, whether it is in the previous life or now. Jiang Xiaofeng will not participate in a simple power struggle. But if civilians are killed wantonly for power, Jiang Xiaofeng cannot allow it. It's okay. Even if we only find some of the bases, it's a great thing, He Yi said excitedly, and then left his contact information. Back at the Xingluotang sect headquarters, He Yi registered all the contributions of the operatives and dismissed everyone. Jiang Xiaofeng returned to the hotel and began to sort out the communication channels obtained this time. In fact, it is also possible to invade without using the channels obtained this time, but it will be more troublesome. It's like you can open all the doors, but before that, you need to find the location of the door first. If you don't know which door has what you want, you can only open all the doors and take a look. It was not a big deal before that the scope was limited to a small city, but now the scope has to expand to the entire continent, which is not easy. Just when Jiang Xiaofeng began to calm down and search, the entire Daoluo continent, or the Daoluo plain, suddenly began to shock continuously. The extreme Daoluos of the entire plain suddenly raised their heads at this moment, but they didn't know what happened. And Jiang Xiaofeng was among those who raised their heads suddenly. It's just that Jiang Xiaofeng saw something that others couldn't see. The golden light particles that permeated every corner of the plain began to decrease madly. Is this the other element? What happened? Jiang Xiaofeng hurriedly ran out of the hotel, looking at everything in front of him in shock. A silver light flashed, and Guyu appeared beside Jiang Xiaofeng, asking in doubt, "Did you see anything?" Obviously, she also felt some unusual fluctuations. The other element and various life energies in this plane are rapidly disappearing. It seems that something big is about to happen. Jiang Xiaofeng said in a deep voice. Chapter 113 Frustrated. The other and other life energies are madly flowing away, which will make the plane more fragile. Jiang Xiaofeng looked at the other that was constantly dissipating in the sky and said softly, if this plane could have lasted another 1000 to 2000 years, then now. At this point, Jiang Xiaofeng was silent. Guyu asked anxiously, how long can it last? Once the plane collapses, it will be a disaster for both humans and soul beasts. As the co-lord of soul beasts, Guyu naturally couldn't help but take it to heart. If we stop all development now, we can still survive for about 700 years. Jiang Xiaofeng pondered, but this is obviously impossible, so it will not exceed 300 years at most. Then, is there any other way? Guyu asked worriedly. There are two ways. One is to escape from Daoluo Star. Everyone escapes. But with the current situation of Daoluo continent, it's hard enough. Why? Guyu was a little confused. With Jiang Xiaofeng's ability, this question should not be difficult for him. Jiang Xiaofeng said helplessly, there is no way. When Daoluo continent was developing soul guide technology, it only focused on creating more advanced soul guides, but ignored the development of basic science. Apart from other things, the use of resources has caused a huge waste. Have you heard of the 312 level fixed type soul guide cannons of the Federation? Guyu nodded. She had also heard about this. The 12 level fixed type soul guide cannons have the power to destroy the world. The Federation spent nearly 1000 years to only create 3, and even the economy regressed by about 1000 years. If I'm given the same amount of resources, I can create tens of thousands of more powerful weapons. This is the importance of basic science. Guyu looked at Jiang Xiaofeng in surprise, but did not question it. If it is just to take all the lives in this world out of Daoluo Star, it may not be impossible to gather the resources of the entire Daoluo plane. But even if we can barely take them out, without considering race, human hearts and other factors, we can only wait to die. Why? Guyu asked puzzled. Because the universe is too vast. Jiang Xiaofeng said seriously, whether it is to find another planet suitable for survival or to find a place to replenish energy, it will take at least thousands of years. And our energy is not enough to support until then. After a little thought, Guyu knew that this method was not feasible. Even if the resource problem was successfully solved, people's hearts would cause all kinds of problems. What about the second method? Replenish life energy and repair the plane. However, if we replenish energy for the plane now, the biggest beneficiaries must be Tang Heo and Aryan. I always feel unwilling. Jiang Xiaofeng couldn't help but punch the wall beside him. It's obviously them who started it, but we need to work hard to clean up this mess, and in the end they are the ones who benefit. Gu Yu comforted softly. This is just a stopgap measure, isn't it? In fact, Gu Yu didn't feel good either. This feeling is like you have a prodigal emperor who successfully squandered all the money in the treasury. In order to maintain the country's expenses, you have to rack your brains to fill the deficit in the treasury. But in the end, this prodigal emperor had more capital to ruin his family. No matter who it was, they would be furious. But now, she had to force herself to calm down, and she had to calm Jiang Xiaofeng down. Because they didn't have the ability to directly overturn the chessboard. Whether it was strength or other aspects, Jiang Xiaofeng didn't have the qualifications to overturn the chessboard. Fortunately, Tang Heo and Ai Yin didn't have them either. Although they had all the advantages on the chessboard, they couldn't do whatever they wanted. They really didn't care about the life and death of the creatures on the Daoluo plane, but they couldn't let the plane collapse now. As long as they followed the original plan and steadily devoured the abyss plane, all the losses now could be made up. Don't worry, I'm just complaining. Jiang Xiaofeng slowly put down his fist and pondered in his heart, if they could kill them without destroying the plane, their own energy might be. Look, the Monster Academy is on stage. The second day of the Shrek Students Competition Day has arrived, and the 8 people from the Monster Academy of the Xingluo Empire are on stage for the first time. Jiang Xiaofeng was sitting in the audience stand, constantly operating on his mobile phone. He didn't care too much about the appearance of Monster Academy. In Jiang Xiaofeng's opinion, Shrek Academy's rules and regulations had some problems, and it completely copied Shrek Academy's rules and regulations. Let's not comment on the contribution point system of the school system for the time being, just talk about the enrollment system. You recruited geniuses, and coupled with high quality teaching resources, it would be strange if this didn't come out with talents. But to be honest, Shrek Academy has rich teaching resources. There is nothing to say about this. Whether it is spiritual objects, rare metals and other cultivation resources, or various combat skills for actual combat, etc., it can be said that everything is available. In short, even if there is no problem with Shrek Academy's teaching system, these systems may not be suitable for the national conditions of Xingluo continent. If you follow others' path completely, you will never be able to surpass them. The 8 people who appeared in Monster Academy are their 8 kings. Daijuna is one of them. Daijuna said something in the ear of the bald strong man who was in the lead, and the strong man's eyes instantly looked at Tang Wulin. His eyes also turned dark red at this moment. The fierce momentum was instantly released, causing many people around to retreat, their eyes full of horror. Jiang Xiaofeng subconsciously looked up and saw a bald man, but not a certain bald boss, coming over. The leader of the 8 heavenly kings, Long Yu. It seems that the person coming is not friendly. Jiang Xiaofeng stood up to greet him. As the captain of the Shrek team, he naturally had to stand up at this time. Are you their captain? Long Yu asked in a deep voice. It seems that you don't have any cultivation. Jiang Xiaofeng shrugged and said lazily, yes, I do not have any cultivation. But I'm indeed their captain and technical instructor. Get out of the way. I'm not looking for you. Long Yu's voice had a taste of unquestionable in it. If an ordinary person stood in front of him, he would probably be oppressed and unable to raise his head. That won't work. After all, I'm their captain. Jiang Xiaofeng still spoke lazily, but he didn't mean to give in at all. Your little princess has been spoiled since she was a child. She has come to pick a fight a few times. I can ignore her. But if you also come to pick a fight, although I'm not participating in the competition. Jiang Xiaofeng narrowed his eyes slightly, and his tone was no longer as lazy as before, but I don't mind having a fight with you. Speaking of which, Jiang Xiaofeng is not in a good mood now. If it were usual, Jiang Xiaofeng might choose to be a peacemaker. Big things become small, small things become nothing, and this matter will just pass. But now, Jiang Xiaofeng is worried about what happened last night. Long Yu coming here at this time is tantamount to running into the muzzle of a gun. At this time, Tang Wulin stood up from behind Jiang Xiaofeng. It's okay, Xiaofeng, I'll take care of it. As he said, he walked in front of Long Yu. You are looking for me? Long Yu looked at Tang Wulin quietly without saying anything. After a while, he stretched out his hand and said, "Let me introduce myself. My name is Long Yu. They all call me Crazy Dragon." Tang Wulin smiled slightly and also stretched out his hand to shake his Daoluo Continent Shrek Academy, Tang Wulin. The two hands were tightly clasped together, with no intention of loosening. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that this was the first time the two had fought. It seemed that both sides were evenly matched. But Jiang Xiaofeng knew that at this stage, Tang Wulin was not as strong as Long Yu for the time being. Both of their hands began to emit strange light. Tang Wulin's was golden light, and Long Yu's was dark red light. Deep in Tang Wulin's consciousness, a red gold figure snorted coldly, "Humph, what a waste. You have made me lose face." He paced back and forth, and finally said coldly, "Forget it. If people knew that I would lose to this reptile, I would have no face to live." As he said that, his eyes instantly burst into a dazzling golden light. Chapter 114 Golden Dragon King. A golden light several times stronger than before burst out from Tang Wulin's eyes. At this moment, Long Yu felt a strong pressure. It was the pressure from the blood, as if he was born to submit to the person in front of him. Long Yu has the blood of the Mountain Dragon King, one of the 9 sons of the Dragon God. Logically speaking, there is no blood stronger than Long Yu in this world. Because the Mountain Dragon King itself is a martial spirit that should not exist in the world. Unfortunately, this time, he encountered an accident. But the strange thing is that no matter whether it is the people of Shrek or the other 7 kings of Monster Academy, they didn't notice any changes, but just felt that Tang Wulin's eyes had the function of high beams. Strength and momentum are accurately applied to the target, without affecting objects outside the target. This is the ultimate control of power. As long as Long Yu uses his strength slightly, he will generate amazing momentum. It seems terrifying, but this is the manifestation of being unable to control power. As the golden light in Tang Wulin's eyes grew stronger, Long Yu's right hand, which was clasped with his, began to feel waves of piercing pain. This was the first time that Long Yu was suppressed in strength. How could it be possible? Long Yu and Gu Yu exclaimed in their hearts at the same time. However, how could this be possible? It was a little different. As the Silver Dragon King, Gu Yu had once relied on the cultivation of a first-level god to exert strength beyond the ordinary God King level. His mental power and perception were naturally extremely powerful. At this moment, she seemed to feel a familiar person, her twin brother, the Golden Dragon King. Back then, the Dragon God was split into 2. The Golden Dragon King stayed to continue the fight to the death, while the Silver Dragon King chose to escape. This was not because the Golden Dragon King was not smart, as Tang San said. Although the Golden Dragon King was stupid, he was not stupid to this extent. The Golden Dragon King knew that they would never survive under the attack of the 5 God Kings. When the twins of the Golden Dragon King and the Silver Dragon King were about to be born, they had a brief exchange in the Dragon God's consciousness space. The 5 God Kings would never let them go. But if one of them can risk his life to hold back the God King, then the other one will have a chance to survive. The Silver Dragon King inherited the wisdom and elemental control of the Dragon God. Elemental control can make it easier for her to escape, and wisdom allows her to shoulder the burden of being the co-master of soul beasts. The Silver Dragon King is undoubtedly the best candidate for escape. The Golden Dragon King is thick-skinned and strong, and is undoubtedly more suitable to stop the 5 pursuing God Kings. Moreover, he is indeed stupid and not suitable for leading soul beasts after the catastrophe. So, after the birth of the Golden Dragon King and the Silver Dragon King fled at the first time, while the Golden Dragon King stayed to continue the fight to the death. Later, when the Golden Dragon King was reborn from the cocoon, life and destruction have died, and goodness and evil are nowhere to be found. Among the 5 God Kings, only one Azura God Tang San, who was overconsumed, was left. With the simple brain of the Golden Dragon King, he naturally thought that the time for revenge had come. What happened next was that goodness and evil returned, and the 3 God Kings jointly launched the Sword of Judgment of the 3 realms to kill the Golden Dragon King. Jiang Xiaofeng looked at Long Yu in surprise. Jiang Xiaofeng saw a painful expression on his body. What? Something incredible seemed to have happened to Tang Wulin. Soon, The light in Tang Wulin's eyes faded. He let go of his right hand that was tightly clasped with Long Yu with a blank look on his face. Obviously, he had no idea what had just happened. Long Yu put down his hand and looked at Tang Wulin in astonishment. It took him a long time to recover. Dai Juna's fourth brother, the fourth prince of the Xingluo Empire, and Dai Yuan, one of the 8 kings of the Monster Academy, came over. He came to Long Yu and said in a deep voice, "Brother Long, let's go first." If it were normal times, Long Yu would naturally be unwilling to leave like this with his violent temper. But now, Long Yu followed Dai Yuan and others out of the audience without saying a word. Dai Juna opened her mouth and was about to say something, but was glared back by Long Yu. The people around the stands had no idea what was going on. They only saw that the people from the Monster Academy met with the Shrek students, compared their hand strength, and then the people from the Monster Academy left in disgrace. Seeing the students of Monster Academy leaving, Zizi was the first to jump over, hit Tang Wulin on the shoulder and said, "But, Wulin, you gave their boss a warning right away." Tang Wulin hadn't reacted to what had just happened at this time. He asked with a puzzled look on his face, "I won? No, I remember that he is obviously stronger than me in strength." Ah. Zizi looked as if he was out of his mind. "You obviously won. Look at his expression now. Doesn't he look like he's constipated?" Tang Wulin turned around and asked everyone in Shrek, "Did I just win?" Everyone nodded, and Wu Sido asked in confusion, "Don't you remember what happened just now?" Tang Wulin shook his head. "I only remember that the man was very strong, and his hand strength even prevented me from using the golden dragon claw. Then I blinked and became like this now." Jiang Xiaofeng pondered for a while. "Let's talk about it when we get back and finish today's team game first. Guyu, the team command will be handed over to you. Is that okay?" Guyu smiled brightly. "No problem." The Monster Academy was the first to appear. They faced the Xiandao team from Xiandao Academy. Their spirit ring configuration shocked most of the Shrek team. There was no yellow spirit ring in the spirit ring configuration of everyone. The lowest stage spirit ring was a purple 1000-year spirit ring. Dai Yuna even achieved a 4th spirit ring of black 10,000-year spirit ring. This was not something that could be achieved simply by relying on resources. She must also have extremely high talent. Seeing Long Yu flashing with 6 spirit rings, Zizi couldn't help but turn his head and look at Tang Wulin and asked, "Wulin, how did you win just now? Although you are strong, you are not strong to this extent." Tang Wulin smiled bitterly and said, "How should I know? Didn't I say that I didn't know what happened at that time?" Zhu Xiaoan said with a smile, "Could it be that there is an old grandfather living in Wulin's mind?" Then when they were competing in strength just now, the old grandfather in Tang Wulin's mind was so angry that he came out to help him? Tang Wulin smiled bitterly. This was probably the most reasonable explanation. "So, how many people live in my head? Are they enough to play Mahjong?" In this game, the Monster Academy team naturally won by crushing the opponent. Their powerful strength also brought great pressure to the people of Shrek. Jiang Xiaofeng put down his phone and looked behind him. "Why, are you scared?" Zulisi smiled bitterly. "Captain, Long Yu alone is enough to beat our entire team. Not to mention the others. If Tang Wulin can get into the state just now, we also have a chance." Wu Sido said. Yi Xinglan pondered for a while. "Not necessarily. Although our battle armor is one word, its amplification effect is enough to rival 2-word. If we can give full play to our strength, we may have a chance." Zizi said with a grin. "Boss, why don't you also participate in the competition? As long as you participate, we will definitely win. Or let Guyu use his full strength." Jiang Xiaofeng rolled his eyes at Zizi. "The night system is not suitable for this kind of occasion. Besides, if I go on stage, what will you have to do?" Zizi smiled. "That's right. Okay, get ready. It's your turn soon." Chapter 115. The storm is coming. The opponent that Shrek encountered was not very strong. It took only about 30 seconds for Shrek to win. If it was normal, this record would naturally set off the whole audience. But this time, because of the comparison by Monster Academy, Shrek's record certainly surprised the audience, but it was not enough to set off the whole audience. It's like everyone knows the world's highest peak, but few people know the world's second highest peak. Jiang Xiaofeng sat quietly in the stands thinking, what just happened to Tang Wulin was really incredible. At that moment, there must be some consciousness controlling Tang Wulin, and it was a consciousness that had never appeared before. This is not a good sign, because it means that someone can take over Tang Wulin's body anytime and anywhere. This was the case with Tang San before, and it is also the case with this new consciousness now. Could it be that this time it is the consciousness of the Golden Dragon King? However, the Golden Dragon King should only have a remnant soul left, and wasn't he sealed up by Tang San? It's not just Tang Wulin's problem. The sudden consumption of the ether element on the Daoluo continent is also an important problem. Jiang Xiaofeng was just entangled in the consequences of this before. Now that he thinks carefully, why are these ether element being consumed so crazily? The more he thinks about it, the more Jiang Xiaofeng feels that a storm is coming. This passive feeling is really unpleasant. A battle broke out in Tang Wulin's sea of consciousness. But this battle, strangely, did not cause any damage to the sea of consciousness. Go back to where you should be. A blue shadow holding a trident said lightly. A golden dragon shadow smiled disdainfully. Don't be so arrogant. Although I'm just a remnant soul, you are just a consciousness of the Shura God. The blue shadow frowned. Do you know me? Don't be so hypocritical. You killed me before, and now you pretend not to know me. The golden dragon snorted coldly. Forget it. The blue shadow shook his head and pointed the trident in his hand at the golden dragon. I don't care what you know. If you return to the seal now, we will be at peace. Otherwise, it will be a fight to the death. Huh. The golden dragon suddenly let out a puzzled sigh and then fell into deep thought. After a long while, he answered the question irrelevantly. So that's it. That energy that day not only made me sober, but also made you strange because of it. What do you mean? The blue shadow shouted. Ha ha ha. The golden dragon laughed wildly and returned to the seal. Interesting. The divine consciousness clone has its own thoughts. It's really interesting. Own thoughts? The blue shadow muttered silently, then looked at the golden dragon in the distance and shouted, come back and explain clearly. However, he could only watch the golden dragon approach the seal as if nothing happened, but he could not get close to it at all, unless he broke it. Holy Spirit Church. Master Ghost Emperor, do we really have to kill those researchers now? Asked a very feminine man. The man called Ghost Emperor nodded. Yes, the base has been exposed once before. Just in case, let's kill them all. But, the man said hesitantly, the development of the medicine has not been completed yet. If we kill them now. Ghost Emperor waved his hand. It's no longer necessary. As he said that, he raised his right hand and slowly clenched his fist. It's better to control the power in your own hands. The feminine man couldn't help but widen his eyes. Could it be that you have? Ghost Emperor sneered. Not just me. So, I must prepare early. At night, Jiang Xiaofeng and Gu Yu were walking and chatting on the street. In other words, the new consciousness that appeared in Tang Wulin's mind is really the Golden Dragon King? Jiang Xiaofeng asked in surprise. Gu Yu nodded while eating the skewers and said, that's right. Although I was also surprised, it should be him who controlled Tang Wulin's body at that moment. Jiang Xiaofeng asked with some concern, will the Golden Dragon King try to take over the body? Judging from the situation during the day, it seems very simple for the Golden Dragon King to take over the body. Gu Yu shook his head. I don't know. When my brother and I were just born, with his personality, he would definitely not do such a thing. But things are unpredictable. Tens of thousands of years have passed, and it is hard to guarantee how his personality will change. If my brother still has the same personality as before, he will definitely not involve the hatred on Tang Wulin, who is still a baby. Jiang Xiaofeng sighed. Forget it, we can only take it one step at a time. As he said, he looked up at another street stall. Let's go, let's buy some more grilled gluten. Gu Yu smiled and nodded. In the dark, Jiang Xiaofeng had a feeling. This was the last calm before the storm. In the next few days of competition, Shrek Academy was upset. First, Tang Wulin relied on his foreign cultivation to control a full set of one-word battle armor. When Fox King Su Mu, one of the 8 kings of Monster Academy, played all his cards, Tang Wulin won. At the same time, Tang Wulin also absorbed the power of the fifth seal of the Golden Dragon King without any spiritual assistance. And his Golden Dragon Claw also changed from a single-handed Golden Dragon Claw to a double-handed Golden Dragon Claw. The crushing property of the right claw can turn the captured object into powder. The tearing property of the left claw can break the captured object into large pieces. ZZ lost in the battle with Wind King Lin San, but ZZ was convinced of his defeat. The reason for his failure was not only the gap in cultivation, but also the gap in the realm of agility attack. And ZZ also realized the true meaning of agility attack in this battle. In the early days, ZZ was too free and undisciplined and neglected his cultivation. This is the realm of seeing mountains as mountains and water as water. Later, he realized that his strength was insufficient and began to practice hard to hone his fighting skills. This is the realm of seeing mountains as not mountains and water as not water. Now, his cultivation has reached a bottleneck. Although his cultivation has been improving, his agility attack has been stagnant. Now, he understands that agility attack requires freedom and freedom to do whatever one wants and cannot be limited to moves. This is the state of seeing mountains as mountains and water as water. It has to be admitted that ZZ's comprehension is still very high. Although his martial soul is not very powerful, his strong comprehension can give him a brighter future. A strong martial soul can make people practice quickly and become a titled Daoluo in a very short time. But above the titled Daoluo, especially above the super Daoluo, the quality of the martial soul is no longer so important. What is important is comprehension. Most of the elders in Shrek Academy became titled Daoluo in their 20s and 30s, but in the following decades, it was extremely difficult for them to improve their cultivation. It was because of insufficient comprehension. This is why there are many titled Daoluo and super Daoluo in Shrek Academy, but extreme Daoluo is extremely rare. Of course, there is also a cheating existence in Shrek Academy, Yunming, who became an extreme Daoluo in his 30s. Moreover, because the god realm has disappeared, Yunming forcibly created an incomplete god position. If there is enough time, Yunming may not be unable to become a god, and he is the most suitable god for the god position. After that, Tang Wulin defeated Tiger King Dai Yuan. Yuan Enyahu defeated Shadow King Tengteng. Wu Sido defeated Spirit King Dai Yuna. Among them, in the match between Wu Sido and Dai Yuna, Wu Sido fought without mercy and was extremely ruthless. Jiang Xiaofeng inexplicably smelled a smell of vinegar, and Jiang Xiaofeng also uploaded a large number of Green Skull organization strongholds to the Tang sect. So, in the past month, the Tang sect and the official Xingluo Empire have dealt an unprecedented heavy blow to the Green Skull organization. The Green Skull terrorist organization suffered a heavy blow, and the people cheered. The situation seems to be very good. Please recommend and vote for the monthly ticket. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116 Tang Wulin vs. Long Yu. Hey, Xiaofeng, do you know what Dragon Valley is? Tang Wulin asked quietly. Xiaofeng thought for a moment. I remember. It's a bit like the Dragon Cemetery. Do you remember I told you that there was a war in the god realm? Tang Wulin nodded. This story left a very deep impression on him. The human gods and the beast gods were suspicious of each other, and eventually a war broke out. If they could trust each other, the war might have been avoided. Of course, the racial barriers also make the word trust extremely fragile. In short, there is no fundamental contradiction between humans and soul beasts, even without the soul ring. Without hundreds or thousands of years, there is no way to really settle down. After that war, the corpses of the dragons were all exposed in the wilderness. Tens of thousands of years later, their last strength formed a small world. This is Dragon Valley. Jiang Xiaofeng explained. Tang Wulin nodded, and then asked doubtfully, so, do you think I should go to the Dragon Valley? Of course I should go. Jiang Xiaofeng said. The remaining souls of the Dragon Clan combined with the energy in the Dragon Valley gave birth to a strange energy called Dragon Soul. Normally, if the Soul Master who enters the Dragon Valley can defeat those Dragon Souls, he can absorb the energy in the Dragon Soul. The energy of the dragon soul cannot directly improve the soul master's cultivation, but it can strengthen the soul master's physique. For example, you can absorb the power of the next seal without the assistance of any natural treasures. Hearing this, Tang Wulin's eyes began to sparkle. How much money can you save without buying natural treasures? The most important thing is that Dragon Valley is full of dangers for others. But you have the blood of the Golden Dragon King, and the Dragon Soul will unconditionally submit to you. Tang Wulin's eyes became brighter and brighter, and his pupils began to change into the shape of copper coins. So, I can absorb the energy inside without limit. This is equivalent to so many natural treasures. Okay, don't be obsessed with money. Jiang Xiaofeng said with a look of disgust. When the time comes, you try to go to the core area of Dragon Valley while ensuring safety. There is a real dragon cemetery, and all the good things are there. Good things? Tang Wulin scratched his head. You will know when the time comes. Jiang Xiaofeng said mysteriously. Okay, that's all I have to say. Get ready quickly, you will be on the stage soon. If things are impossible, just admit defeat. Tang Wulin patted his chest. Don't worry, it's still uncertain who will win. This time, Tang Wulin's opponent is the Dragon King Long Yu. Compared with this time and the original work, Tang Wulin's strength is undoubtedly much stronger. First of all, a full set of one-word battle armor, and its performance can even rival that of ordinary two-word battle armor. Then, the exclusive weapon, the Golden Dragon Spear, was unlocked in advance. Although it cannot fully exert its power, it is undoubtedly of great help to Tang Wulin. At the same time, Tang Wulin has also achieved preliminary accomplishments in spearmanship. If used properly, he can definitely catch Long Yu off guard. Please enter the venue for both contestants. A broadcast sounded throughout the open-air arena. Wulin. Looking at Tang Wulin who was about to go on stage, Wu Sido subconsciously called him. Tang Wulin stopped and turned to look at Wu Sido. What's wrong? Feeling Tang Wulin's gaze, Wu Sido didn't know what to say. I don't know since when. Tang Wulin's battle full of violent aesthetics on the arena attracted her attention. Every collision was a pure contest of strength. The golden scales made her heart beat faster. Thinking carefully, it should be in a competition that Tang Wulin successfully defeated her with a fourth ring with his third ring cultivation. From that time on, Tang Wulin began to attract Wu Sido's attention. It's not that Wu Sido likes strong men, she doesn't like muscular men like Yang Niangsha. As for Jiang Xiaofeng, a tech geek, although Wu Sido wholeheartedly recognized him as the captain, the relationship between the two was just that of friends. Wu Sido has always been proud, and she can't say any love words like a little girl. So at this time, Wu Sido obviously had a lot to say, but in the end, she didn't know what to say. Seeing Wu Sido sitting there with her eyes evasive, Tang Wulin was stunned for a while, and then he said with sudden realization, "Oh. Don't worry, it's okay, at worst I can just admit defeat." After that, Tang Wulin slowly walked onto the field. In the Shrek viewing area, ZZ's voice of booing suddenly came, followed by a scream. On the ring, the countdown has begun, and Tang Wulin and Long Yu are ready for battle. After observing several matches, Long Yu could see that Tang Wulin's victory over him that day was a complete accident. Now his only worry was that Tang Wulin would accidentally fall into the same state as that day. The match begins. Tang Wulin instantly released his battle armor and stomped his feet on the ground of the arena. 2 circles of golden soul rings rose up, and he rushed towards Long Yu like an arrow. Every time I see this set of battle armor, I find it very magical. The voice of the commentator Fanga sounded. It is well known that only a soul master at the level of a 5-ring soul king can withstand the amplification of a full set of one-word battle armor, but everyone in the Shrek team has a full set of one-word battle armor, and their cultivation is all below the 5 rings. I once suspected that their battle armor had given up some performance in exchange for lowering the wearing requirements. But through repeated comparisons, I was surprised to find that their one-word battle armor not only did not give up any performance, in terms of amplification effect, it is enough to match the 2-word battle armor. Should it be said that it is worthy of the Shrek Academy that has been passed down for 10,000 years? I don't know if other students in Shrek Academy are the same. If such a battle armor is really popular in Shrek Academy, then I can only say that Monster Academy really has a long way to go. The collision between Tang Wulin and Long Yu has already begun. Tang Wulin, holding the golden dragon spear, forced Long Yu to take out his double-pointed spear after just a few encounters. The golden dragon spear was made from a rib of the golden dragon king. It can be said that no weapon is more suitable for Tang Wulin to use than the golden dragon spear. It not only has the characteristics of being sharp, but also, when Tang Wulin holds the golden dragon spear, Tang Wulin's golden dragon king bloodline will be stimulated to the maximum. Tang Wulin thrust out with a spear, and Long Yu did not dodge, but shouted, "Mountains and rivers." The sharp golden dragon spear pierced Long Yu's body, but only left a white mark. It was as if the spear did not pierce the human body, but the rock. Tang Wulin raised the corner of his mouth slightly. "Thousands of people are pointing fingers at me." Chapter 117 War. Seeing the smile on Tang Wulin's face, Long Yu instinctively felt something was wrong. But at this time, it was too late. The tip of the golden dragon spear was close to Long Yu's rocky skin, and Long Yu had no way to avoid it. Nearly 100 spear beams burst out from the spear tip in an instant, and each spear beam accurately pierced the same point. Large pieces of rubble broke off from Long Yu's body and fell to the ground. The rubble that fell to the ground turned into light and disappeared, but there was a trace of blood red on the ground. Obviously, Long Yu's first soul skill was broken, and he himself was injured. Since old Tang's consciousness disappeared, two spear techniques appeared in Tang Wulin's mind, and thousands of people pointing at one of them. Thousands of people pointing at one is a god-level spear technique. With Tang Wulin's current cultivation, it is impossible to fully master it. Until now, he has only mastered some of the basics. As for the second style, 1000 Years of Freedom, he has not even mastered the basics. But the god level is the god level after all. Even if Tang Wulin only mastered the basics, it was enough to break through the defensive soul skills released by Long Yu when he was careless. However, the cultivation of the soul sect level still limited Tang Wulin. Even in this case, Long Yu was only slightly injured, and this slight injury also made Long Yu's mood begin to become irritable. River. Looking at the golden dragon spear stabbing again, Long Yu shouted, and the second soul ring lit up. Rivers appeared on the field in an instant, and the rivers converged on Long Yu's double-pointed spear, giving the double-pointed spear an extremely terrifying power. The spear tips collided violently, and under the action of two powerful forces, the violent airflow instantly swept the entire field. Tang Wulin instantly retreated several meters, and then he barely stabilized his body, and Long Yu took a few steps back lightly. This time, the difference between the two was immediately determined. Observation stand. Upon seeing this, Dai Xianling breathed a sigh of relief. "Teacher, it seems that Long Yu is better." NC shook his head gently. "No, the difference between the two is only in their cultivation. If they were fighting at the same level, I'm afraid Long Yu would be the loser. I thought that the bloodline of the Mountain Dragon King should be the most powerful bloodline in this world. Unexpectedly, Shrek is really a hidden dragon and crouching tiger." Hearing this, Dai Xianling couldn't help but take a breath. "What kind of bloodline is this?" NC shook his head. "I don't know. Logically, above the Mountain Dragon King is only the Dragon God. However, the bloodline of the Dragon God simply cannot exist. And looking at the appearance of his martial soul, it is also very different from that of the Dragon God." Dai Xianling pondered. Could it be that there is another race in the Dragon Clan that we don't know about? That's the only possibility. NC nodded and said, "We have never really come into contact with the divine realm, and the various secrets of the Dragon Clan are beyond our reach. Your Majesty, once this boy grows up, he will definitely pose a great threat to our Xingluo Empire. Do you want to?" At this point, NC's eyes revealed a ruthless look. Dai Xianling thought again and finally shook his head and said, "The people present are definitely not blind. No matter how covert you are, you can't keep it a secret from everyone. Besides, the people from the Shrek delegation have helped our Xingluo Empire a lot on this trip. If you do this again, wouldn't it be putting me in an unjust situation?" Hearing this, NC immediately said, "As you command, Your Majesty." Dai Xianling sighed. NC was his teacher and the patron saint of the Xingluo Empire. For so many years, he has been conscientiously protecting the empire. If the words just now were said by someone else, Dai Xianling would instead suspect whether he intended to start a war between the Federation and the Xingluo Empire. But NC was different. Dai Xianling knew that he was really just worried that another person like Yunming would appear in Shrek Academy, relying on his own strength to make all forces afraid to act rashly. On the court, the battle has entered a white-hot state, but the situation is obviously extremely unfavorable to Tang Wulin. Although Tang Wulin has a full set of one-word battle armor that can rival a two-word battle armor, Long Yu also has an extremely excellent two-word battle armor specially made for him by the Monster Academy. Although the Golden Dragon Spear and the Golden Dragon King bloodline are strong, they are not enough to erase the gap in cultivation. Swamp. Long Yu shouted and stomped his right foot on the ground. Tang Wulin instantly felt a strong suction coming from the ground, and the man's movements became slow. Then, Long Yu's figure disappeared instantly, and the suction from the ground also instantly increased several times. Streams of mud surged from the ground, as if to swallow Tang Wulin. Sitting and waiting for death is not Tang Wulin's style. The two armors on the back of the battle armor opened instantly, and the dark blue flames suddenly sprayed out, pushing Tang Wulin off the ground. However, the huge suction made the flying movement slow down. Several pieces of mud also covered Tang Wulin the moment he flew off the ground, trying to pull him back to the ground. The dark blue flames behind Tang Wulin sprayed out more violently. At the same time, Tang Wulin's palms, soles of feet, and calves also began to spray flames crazily, forcing Tang Wulin to break free. Suddenly, mountains appeared one after another on the field, constantly stabbing at Tang Wulin who was flying in the air. After Tang Wulin dodged several times, he was finally stabbed by a mountain head-on. The powerful impact almost knocked Tang Wulin to the top of the soul shield of the field before he could stabilize his body. Tang Wulin, who had stabilized his body, was about to look around and saw that the inside of the battle armor mask began to make crazy noises. A blood-red word appeared on the three-dimensional projection inside the mask. Danger. Danger. Be careful to dodge. What is this? Suddenly, Tang Wulin's back hurt, as if the whole person was about to fall apart, and the whole person began to fall uncontrollably. Long Yu had appeared behind him at some point, and the dragon's tail whipped Tang Wulin's back like a whip. Tang Wulin suddenly fell down like a kite with a broken string. When they were about to reach the ground, the propulsion system stabilized Tang Wulin's movements again. However, Long Yu appeared behind Tang Wulin again. He raised his right foot and stepped heavily on Tang Wulin's back, knocking him down from the air to the ground. Cough. Cough. Tang Wulin couldn't help but spit out 2 mouthfuls of blood. Even with the protection of the battle armor, Tang Wulin was already seriously injured at this time. Do I really have to admit defeat? No, I can still fight. The golden dragon claw was released instantly, and the claws formed by soul power turned into high-frequency vibration particles under the convergence of the battle armor, and slashed towards Long Yu. This is Tang Wulin's most powerful move at present, but once used, the soul power will be almost completely consumed instantly. In this case, its power will be far greater than the usual golden dragon claw. Caught off guard, Long Yu could only raise his double-pointed spear to block it. Snap. The double-pointed spear broke. Chapter 118 Emergency Battle Mode. 5 deep scratches appeared on Long Yu's battle armor, one of which even scratched the core part of the battle armor. Although this attack did not really hurt Long Yu, it greatly affected his combat effectiveness. Under normal circumstances, the 2-word battle armor is made of spirit-forged metal, and its power is naturally far superior to the 1-word battle armor made of 1000-forged metal. But the 2-word battle armor is not without defects. Once the battle armor is damaged, it will be extremely difficult to repair. Of course, this defect cannot be considered a defect. If it were not for Jiang Xiaofeng's mastery of nanotechnology, even the Knight system would have this defect. If it were a 3-word battle armor, the damaged part would heal itself. But obviously, Long Yu's 2-word battle armor does not have this ability. Severe damage to the core part will directly affect the operation of the entire battle armor, and the amplification effect will naturally drop significantly. At the same time, Long Yu's battle armor weapon was destroyed, and his combat effectiveness further decreased. However, even so, the gap between Tang Wulin and Long Yu in cultivation could not be eliminated. Although the amplification effect of Long Yu's battle armor has dropped significantly, it has not completely disappeared. Moreover, after Tang Wulin used the special version of the Golden Dragon Claw, his spirit power was almost completely consumed. In this case, the status of the two sides not only did not close, but widened a lot. Long Yu, who withstood the attack, was stunned on the spot, and the dark red light in his eyes, that had gradually dimmed, began to light up again. Not good. NC said in a deep voice on the viewing platform. Long Yu's emotions are going to get out of control. Dai Xianling was shocked. What's going on? Can't Long Yu control his emotions? NC said with some pain. Affected by the blood of the Mountain Dragon King, Long Yu will not be able to control his emotions once he uses all his strength. The only way now is to improve his mental strength. What is the effect? Dai Xianling asked. NC shook his head. Even though I have used up all the natural resources and found all kinds of methods to cultivate my spiritual power, the effect is still unsatisfactory. Dai Xianling asked worriedly, should we call off this match? If things go wrong, this will be a major accident. Don't worry, Your Majesty. Once Tang Wulin completely loses his ability to fight, I will stop the match. Tang Wulin spat out blood again, and the 30-fold acceleration also stopped. Logically speaking, he had already reached the standard for elimination. But his mask and the spiritual power shielding device on the battle armor interfered with Ence's judgment. Every time the battle armor was damaged, nanomaterials would fill it up to ensure that there would be no loopholes in the defense and to ensure the normal operation of various functions. But this created a feeling that Tang Wulin still had the strength to fight. In addition, Tang Wulin was determined not to admit defeat, and he would try to counterattack as long as he had a little strength. With the combination of various factors, he has been fighting until now. The alarm was ringing wildly, and the treatment device had already started to run at full capacity. But the treatment provided by the battle armor could not keep up with the speed at which Tang Wulin was injured. At this time, Tang Wulin's vision had begun to blur. Suddenly, a line of red words appeared on the operation interface inside his mask. Your life condition is detected to be critical. Do you want to start the emergency combat mode? Start. Tang Wulin said subconsciously, and then his eyes went dark, and he lost consciousness in an instant. On the mask of the battle armor, the eyes that originally emitted blue light instantly turned red, and the reactor on the chest began to emit a dazzling blue light. At the beginning of the design of the battle armor, Jiang Xiaofeng added a lot of functions to it, but considering that many functions would not be used by the people of Shrek, therefore, Jiang Xiaofeng gave the right to use these functions to the AI configured in the battle armor. The computer configured by Jiang Xiaofeng for the AI has extremely strong computing power, and the peak computing power can reach 202.58 trillion times per second. Under this situation, with the blessing of computing power, all functions on the battle armor will be used to the extreme. Moreover, the opponent's behavior will be analyzed clearly. Considering that if AI is used for auxiliary combat for a long time, they will easily become dependent. Moreover, the computer is huge, and it is impossible to carry it on the battle armor. It can only provide computing power through remote connection. This means that the connection between the battle armor and the computer terminal may be disconnected. If any extreme situation occurs, the connection between the battle armor and the data terminal will be disconnected. For those who rely too much on AI, this will be a devastating blow. Leo once said, people should not rely too much on weapons, because in the end, people can only rely on themselves. Jiang Xiaofeng has always kept this in mind. Even without the Knight system, he is still a scientist and an inventor. He has a super fighting ability that has been honed, and a physical quality that is second only to Tang Wulin. Therefore, Jiang Xiaofeng finally chose to set this function as a hidden function, and it can only be authorized for use in extreme cases. One is to prevent Tang Wulin and others from becoming dependent on AI. The other is because the operating cost of supercomputers is too high, and even a country cannot afford the cost of supercomputers running around the clock. The most important thing is that some things cannot be calculated. Data entry, analysis. Analysis completed. It is determined that Long Yu should be killed first. Battle simulation in progress. Running like a river, Long Yu shouted, and countless rivers converged and swept towards Tang Wulin. Tang Wulin stood still until the river had already swept in front of him. Then he slightly turned to the left and then casually struck his left arm to the right. But with just such a small movement, Tang Wulin directly avoided Long Yu's second soul skill. Simulation completed, taking the best battle plan. Not good. Jiang Xiaofeng frowned and said, Tang Wulin's current condition is not good. Wu Sido heard this and immediately turned her head to question why he looks so energetic now, and the way he dodged just now was so beautiful. However, there was a hint of nervousness in her tough tone. Jiang Xiaofeng shook his head. I designed this battle armor. Although I didn't leave a secret door inside, no one can know its functions better than me. The brightness of the reactor on the chest is obviously higher than usual, which is a sign that it is working at full capacity. The eyes also turned red, which is a reaction to the activation of the emergency mode. Then, what does this mean? Jiang Xiaofeng said in a deep voice, this means that Tang Wulin's life is in danger. This match must be stopped immediately. Chapter 119, Unicorn Eraser Form. Wu Sido exclaimed, her face full of worry. Then, how long can Tang Wulin's body last? Wu Zhangkang stood up and prepared to stop the game. However, Jiang Xiaofeng shook his head. It's not that problem. I installed a very strong life support device in the battle armor. If it were someone else, this life support device could only keep him alive and well, so that he wouldn't die immediately. But Tang Wulin is different. With his physical fitness, as long as he doesn't continue to be injured, this life support device can even make him full of energy again within a day. Hearing this, everyone in Shrek breathed a sigh of relief. After all, Tang Wulin, a sunny, handsome, and righteous man, is still very likable. Especially Wu Sido. She sat back in her seat, as if she had lost all her strength. Wu Changkang stopped and frowned, asking, then why did you say you wanted to end this match? Jiang Xiaofeng glanced at the situation on the field and said faintly, I'm worried about Long Yu's life. In emergency combat mode, he will do whatever it takes to protect Tang Wulin's safety. Even, including slaughter. On the field, seeing Tang Wulin dodge his killing move so easily, Long Yu was shocked. But he didn't care about these things at all, because his emotions were out of control. The sixth soul ring flashed, the anger of the mountain dragon king. This is an amplification and shocking soul skill, and the amplification effect is extremely strong, second only to the martial soul true body. Long Yu stomped on the ground fiercely, and countless mountains and rivers stabbed at Tang Wulin. A strange scene appeared. The surface of Tang Wulin's battle armor began to change like liquid, and several thrusters appeared on his body in an instant. The dark blue flame instantly sprayed out, carrying Tang Wulin into the sky, and the speed was nearly 10 times faster than before. Moreover, fast speed does not mean poor mobility. Tang Wulin, flying in the air, drew a strange arc, and dodged all the mountains and rivers that were stabbing at him in an instant. This was not over yet. Tang Wulin's shoulder armor changed, and dozens of small missiles shot out from it, accurately shooting at Long Yu. Long Yu was shocked. Although he was confident in his defense, these seemingly tiny missiles in front of him gave him a sense of extreme danger. He shouted loudly, and the whole person instantly turned into a mountain. The missile exploded on the mountain that Long Yu had turned into, and the whole mountain was blown to pieces. A huge charred pit was also left on the ground. No way. The audience in the stands looked at each other in bewilderment. This, Long Yu, will not be blown to pieces? Suddenly, Tang Wulin turned his head and looked behind him, with the palm of his right hand pointing in one direction. A sky blue pulse cannon instantly sprayed out from his palm. At this time, Long Yu's figure slowly appeared in another direction. Just now, he used the control of his soul skills to successfully replace his position, but this operation method still consumes a lot of energy. Suddenly, he saw a flash of blue light. The speed of this light was so fast that he couldn't even react that it was a light. The attack speed of electromagnetic pulse is equivalent to the speed of light. At such a short distance, humans don't even have time to think. Long Yu staggered violently, and his huge body half knelt on the ground in an instant. The two-word battle armor on his body completely dimmed, after bursting out a few sparks. At this moment, Long Yu's two-word battle armor was completely declared scrapped. Electromagnetic pulses do not have conventional physical killing capabilities. Contrary to most people's imagination, electromagnetic pulses will not produce any earth-shattering reactions after hitting the target. Its effect is mainly reflected in the interference and destruction of electronic components, and it causes the physiological functions of the human body to become disordered. You know, electromagnetic guns and electromagnetic pulse guns are not the same thing. Electromagnetic guns use electromagnetics to accelerate projectiles to a terrifying speed, thereby causing damage. Pulse guns use electromagnetic pulses to attack, mainly used to target various high-tech equipment. Different focus. For example, facing an aircraft carrier, the electromagnetic gun can cause great damage to the aircraft carrier. But unless it hits a special part, the aircraft carrier can still operate. The pulse gun can make a large number of equipment on the aircraft carrier fail. At the same time, if the people on the aircraft carrier do not wear special protective clothing, they may die instantly under the influence of the pulse gun. If you want to attack an object under the bunker, the electromagnetic gun's superkinetic energy and penetration ability can come in handy. After further improvement by Jiang Xiaofeng, the pulse gun also has the effect of destroying the soul guide array and disrupting the operation of human soul power. If Long Yu is wearing a battle armor with more than 3 characters, the pulse gun may not play a big role. Because the 3-character battle armor uses soul forging metal, it has the ability to heal itself, and the protection strength is not comparable to 2 characters. Even if the electromagnetic pulse successfully destroys the soul guide array, the self-healing ability of the soul forging metal will instantly restore it to its original state. The interference with the operation of soul power is more targeted at low-level soul masters. If you encounter soul masters like Tang Wulin and Long Yu, the power of the electromagnetic pulse will naturally be greatly reduced. From the time the emergency battle mode was turned on to now, the 2 sides have only fought 3 times, but the strength comparison between Tang Wulin and Long Yu has been completely reversed. The reactor is running at full capacity, and the performance of the battle armor has been greatly improved. On the other hand, Long Yu's 2-character battle armor is completely paralyzed and can no longer provide amplification. Prepared to eliminate the target, Tang Wulin slowly raised his right arm, and a strange device quickly rose on the battle armor on his right arm. The audience on the field did not know what it was, but they only knew that one end of this strange device began to emit a red light, and this red light was aimed at Long Yu without deviation. Damn it. Jiang Xiaofeng, who was eating melons, was suddenly startled. When he saw that Tang Wulin was seriously injured, Jiang Xiaofeng regretted it a little. If he had known that this would happen, he should have installed a simple backdoor on the battle armor to monitor their life status at any time. As for obtaining control rights through the backdoor, everyone can only say that everyone has different opinions, and Jiang Xiaofeng can't do such a thing. In his opinion, since it is equipment built for friends, there should not be such a loophole. After confirming that Tang Wulin would be fine, Jiang Xiaofeng chose to let the game continue, because Long Yu could not defeat Tang Wulin in this state. It was Long Yu who just beat Tang Wulin like that, and now it was a good opportunity for Tang Wulin to vent his anger. But now, Tang Wulin was about to use laser weapons, which would definitely result in deaths. P.S. Don't ask me why Bill didn't use laser weapons. The fully loaded energy bottle blasting sword is a laser weapon. The yellow plastic piece is officially set as a light blade. Unicorn Keshigomi best match, are you ready? Henshin one corner is eliminated. Uni Razor, yeah. Chapter 120. I will upload half of it first and make up for it tomorrow. A flash of white light appeared, and Jiang Xiaofeng ignored the protective shield on the field and appeared directly in the center of the field. This was the power of the eraser energy bottle. Space movement. In the stands, everyone was stunned by this series of changes. It was clearly a one-sided situation a few seconds ago, but the next second, Tang Wulin turned the tables in an instant, as if he had been injected with chicken blood. And now, there was suddenly another person on the field. Everyone was a little confused. Ready, go. Vortex break. The drill crusher swung violently, and a diamond barrier instantly appeared in front of Jiang Xiaofeng. A beam of red light that looked ordinary instantly shot out from the device on Tang Wulin's arm, and shone straight on the diamond barrier. But it was this seemingly ordinary beam of light that made Jiang Xiaofeng retreat several steps before he could stand firm. and the beam of light was refracted diagonally above the field. Diamond energy bottle, physical immunity, energy reflection. However, the defense of the diamond energy bottle is not without weaknesses. Although the diamond barrier can be immune to physical damage, it can reflect energy, but it does not mean that it can reflect unlimitedly. The bully can use the diamond energy bottle to restrain the double rabbit form, because the main output method of the double rabbit form is to use the kinetic energy brought by high-speed movement to carry out physical attacks. Physical attacks are ineffective, and long-range energy attacks are not enough to break through the defense of diamonds. Therefore, when the data is fully analyzed, the bully successfully restrains the double rabbit form with the diamond energy bottle. The double tank form has the ability to strengthen long-range attacks. The superposition of the power of the 4 energy bottles, coupled with the strengthening of the double tank form on long-range attacks, successfully broke through the defense of the diamond energy bottle. Although the laser weapon on Tang Wulin's battle armor is powerful, it ultimately failed to break through the defense of the diamond energy bottle. At the beginning of each game, a powerful protective shield will rise on the field to ensure that the soul masters on the field will not affect the audience during the battle. Although this shield cannot stop the attacks of top soul masters, it is absolutely impossible for soul masters below the soul saint to break it. But even such a soul shield was instantly penetrated by this red beam like paper, and it could not even block it for 0.001 seconds. The laser that penetrated the soul shield shone on the highest point of the viewing platform, which was the eaves of the Imperial viewing room, where Dai Xianling was. As Jiang Xiaofeng stumbled, the refracted laser also deflected a little, instantly cutting off half of the eaves. Dai Xianling is worthy of being a person who has been on the throne for a long time. Even in the face of such an accident, Dai Xianling can still sit on the stands without changing his expression. NC also took action immediately and hit the falling eaves to other places so that it would not hit other spectators. Jiang Xiaofeng used the diamond barrier to block in front of him and shouted loudly, "The danger has been lifted." Voiceprint authentication in progress. Secondary authority command detected. Waiting for primary authority confirmation. No response from primary authority. Secondary authority command takes effect. Emergency combat mode lifted. The red eyes on Tang Wulin's battle armor began to dim. And the laser weapon on his arm was also retracted. The battle armor slowly retracted into Tang Wulin's skin, revealing his blood-stained body. Jiang Xiaofeng used the night system to carefully scan Tang Wulin's physical condition. Fortunately, most of the wounds had begun to heal, and the blood on his body was just scary. It seemed to be true as a certain saying goes, if you don't send him to the hospital, the wound will heal. Long Yu stood there in despair, not saying a word. Just now, in just 10 seconds, he felt twice in a row that death was so close to him. He did want to fight, but what he wanted was a battle with equal strength after going all out, not a one-sided slaughter. And like just now, the feeling of life and death was completely in the mind of others. Long Yu really didn't want to feel it again. The referee stared at everything in front of him blankly. So many changes happened suddenly, and he had no idea how to judge the outcome of this game. A red mecha rushed into the center of the arena in an instant, and came to Tang Wulin's side. The mecha hatch opened, and a man jumped out of the mecha. He stretched out his right hand and quickly checked Tang Wulin's injury, then frowned and exclaimed, "Strange. How could it be that there are only these injuries?" Jiang Xiaofeng looked at the person who suddenly appeared in front of him and asked carefully, "Excuse me, are you Senior Muai?" Muai looked at Jiang Xiaofeng in surprise. "Do you know me?" Tang Wulin told me that he has a master from the body sect. Jiang Xiaofeng said. A silver light flashed, and NC also appeared on the field, and then said apologetically, "Sorry, this is my mistake. I failed to detect Tang Wulin's condition in time. My mental detection seems to be interfered by something." Muai, who was about to get angry, heard this and calmed down immediately. In fact, he didn't notice the abnormality until the moment when the battle armor was released. Before that, his detection of Tang Wulin's physical condition had always been very vague. After seeing Tang Wulin covered in blood, Muai was furious and didn't care to think about the previous abnormality. It was not until he heard that NC had encountered the same situation as himself that Muai calmed down. "You too?" Muai asked in surprise. NC nodded. Yes. According to my observation, Tang Wulin's battle armor seems a little strange. I installed a mental shielding device on the battle armor. Jiang Xiaofeng explained. Whether it is a mental attack or a mental detection, it is difficult to penetrate this battle armor. NC nodded in sudden realization. No wonder when Daijuna and Wusuduo fought, Daijuna's invincible mental detection lost its effect on Wusuduo. It was just that in this game, this magical device unexpectedly became the culprit of everything. Jiang Xiaofeng installed this mental shielding device out of kindness, which could better assist Shrek Academy in fighting. The battle between Wusuduo and Daijuna was the best example. And this time, because of Dai Shinling's prior instructions, NC also paid close attention to this game. There was nothing wrong with Tang Wulin fighting to the death, because he refused to admit defeat. At most, it can be said that Tang Wulin was a little too tough, and being too tough is easy to break. It can only be said that fate plays tricks on people. Senior Muai, please take Tang Wulin back for treatment. Although he is fine now, it is better to carry out some professional treatment for the sake of safety. Jiang Xiaofeng said sincerely. Muai nodded and carefully lifted Tang Wulin up. Even if Jiang Xiaofeng didn't say it, he would still give Tang Wulin some treatment. Since the cause of the incident is clear, even if Tang Wulin wins this game, I will also let Long Yu apologize afterwards. In addition, the natural materials and treasures needed for Tang Wulin's treatment will also be borne by our Xingluo royal family. What do you think? NC said apologetically. Although Muai still felt a little resentful, he also knew that NC was not to blame for this. Moreover, NC's proposal also made a lot of concessions. Not to mention anything else, the natural materials and treasures used for treatment alone can be made into a big deal. He can completely take the opportunity to ask for a lot of medicines to cleanse the essence and marrow in the name of treatment, and the Xingluo royal family can only accept this loss. Furthermore, if Tang Wulin is judged as the winner of this match, it means that Tang Wulin has won the singles championship. The prize for the singles championship is 1,000-year soul bone. This is a priceless treasure. Even if this soul bone is not suitable for Tang Wulin, it can be exchanged for other valuable items. Shrek viewing area. Master, we are now participating in the All-Continent Soul Master Elite competition held by the Xingluo Empire. What? Go back as soon as possible? Chapter 121 The hasty end of the Xingluo trip. Yunming's voice came from Elder K Soul Guide Communicator. Yes, I have been feeling uneasy recently. Although I don't know what's going on, in a few months or a few years, there will be earth-shaking changes on this continent. At this point, Yunming paused. If we are not careful, it may be a catastrophe. I know, Pavilion Master. Do you want to go back immediately? Elder K said in a deep voice. She knew that at the level of extreme Daoluo, premonitions were no longer illusory. If an extreme Daoluo felt uneasy, then it meant that something big was going to happen. Yunming pondered for a while and said, it doesn't have to be so fast. Although this change is serious, it doesn't seem to be so fast. It should be enough for you to deal with the main matters. Okay. Elder K nodded and ended the call. Muyi took Tang Wulin away gradually, and Jiang Xiaofeng also used the power of the eraser energy bottle to leave the stadium directly. Jiang Xiaofeng returned to the hotel and fell into deep thought. At this time, his ominous feeling became stronger and stronger. Dragon Valley is indeed a great opportunity for Tang Wulin. Burying bones for 3 years, in exchange for greatly enhanced physical fitness, the sternum of a 100,000-year-old mountain dragon king, and the will of the dragon clan. This is definitely a sure win business. In the original timeline, there would not be too many changes in these 3 years. But now, the other element has disappeared in large quantities for some reason, and there will definitely be major changes on the Daoluo continent. And everything now is probably just a prelude. But in this way, Tang Wulin's trip to Dragon Valley may not be as smooth as the original timeline. 3 years, there are too many variables in the middle. Perhaps, when Tang Wulin returns from Dragon Valley, Daoluo continent has undergone earth-shaking changes. But it's hard to say. Tang Wulin is the grandson of the plane after all. Maybe Tang Wulin will turn danger into safety because of this identity? Forget it. Let's talk to Tang Wulin after he comes back. Whether to go to Dragon Valley or not is up to Tang Wulin himself. After all, this is Tang Wulin's own life. But this ominous feeling is getting stronger and stronger. What is going to happen? No, we must make more preparations. Xingluo Palace. In the huge court, there are only 3 people standing in it at this time. Dai Xianling sits on the throne, and NC stands behind the throne. There are no more guards around, because they are not needed, and have no use. Standing in front of him is Mr. K, who has a cultivation level of more than 95 and a 3-character battle armor. If Mr. K wants to take action, unless all the guards are above the Soul Daoluo level. Otherwise, in front of the Super Daoluo, it will be useless. What's more, with NC, the extreme Daoluo, and Dai Xianling's own good cultivation, he doesn't need any guards. After a long silence, Dai Xianling said, "Your Shrek Academy has won almost all the singles matches, and the situation is very good. Why do you want to withdraw from the competition halfway?" Elder K thought for a moment and said, "I don't know the specific reason. This is an order from the Pavilion Master." As he said that, Elder K looked at NC. The Pavilion Master only said that he had a bad premonition. As a fellow Ultimate Daoluo, you should be able to guess something. Hearing this, Dai Xianling also looked at NC in confusion. "Teacher, is she talking about the recent turmoil?" NC nodded. It should be that time, but even the Pavilion Master of the Sea God Pavilion is so cautious. It seems that things are much more serious than I thought. Elder K then said in a deep voice, "Your Majesty must also respond cautiously. The Pavilion Master once said that this crisis is likely to be a catastrophe." Hearing this, Dai Xianling couldn't help but ponder. The Pavilion Master of Shrek Academy should not be exaggerating. At the level of Ultimate Daoluo, most people don't bother to lie. Especially this kind of lie that has no benefit at all. However, Shrek only needs to close the campus to avoid most disasters. But the Empire cannot do that. The Xingluo Empire is a big country. Unless it gives up a large territory, how can it be truly closed? Okay, I agree to your application for Shrek Academy to withdraw from the competition midway. But how long is it expected to take for this crisis to come? Kaleo shook his head. No one can predict it. Even the Pavilion Master can only vaguely calculate that this great change should be in a few months. But whether the time is accurate, whether it is a natural disaster or a man-made disaster, there is no way to know. A few days later, the Continental Soul Master Elite competition was hastily announced to end. No one knew why such a grand competition ended so hastily. Tang Wulin returned after recovery. After Jiang Xiaofeng explained the situation in detail, Tang Wulin still insisted on going to Dragon Valley. He also said that he couldn't accept that when his friends were in danger, he could do nothing. At Tang Wulin's insistence, Jiang Xiaofeng had to agree to let Tang Wulin go to Dragon Valley and help Tang Wulin unlock some functions of the battle armor. For example, he could fly long distances back to Daoluo continent. And it was an ultra high altitude flight, which was a height that even the ultimate Daoluo could not reach, to ensure the safety of the route. About a month later, Gu Yu took away the Dragon God core in Dragon Valley, and combined with the dimensional power left by Menshishi in the Stardao Great Forest, it was enough to build a small world. Once encountering any major variables, all soul beasts can hide in the small world. The small world built by combining the Dragon God core and the dimensional power, under the premise that the area is only 3 times the current size of the Stardao Great Forest. Its stability is even better than Daoluo continent. In Dragon Valley, Tang Wulin and Dejuna met. After the Dragon God core was taken away, Dragon Valley collapsed, and Tang Wulin was immediately sucked to the core of Dragon Valley. When he was sucked to the core area, Dejuna tightly grasped Tang Wulin's hand, causing the Dragon Ball to break. Dejuna, who was supposed to be teleported out of the Dragon Valley by the Dragon Ball, was also sucked to the core area. After many fruitless searches, the Shrek people were forced to board the returning submarine at Yunming's urging. That's right, it was a submarine developed by the Tang sect, not the cruise ship they came on. On the cruise ship, Wu Sido was depressed. After Jiang Xiaofeng repeatedly assured that Tang Wulin was not in danger, Wu Sido barely cheered up. No one expected that this trip to Xingluo would be so hasty. According to the original plan, the Shrek exchange group should have exchanged in the Xingluo Empire for up to a year. But because of this incident, the trip to Xingluo was shortened to just over 2 months. At this time, whether it was the Federation, the Xingluo Empire, or the Dowling Empire, their people did not realize that a terrible storm was about to hit. The previous chapter has been completed, you can refresh it to read it, and there will be no repeated charges. Chapter 122 Fusion. It seems that, because Tang Wulin was not on the train, Jiang Xiaofeng and his party returned to Shrek Academy safely on the Soul Guide train. Jiang Xiaofeng, who returned to Shrek Academy, plunged into the dormitory and did not even go to class. As far as he knew, Shrek had already prepared for the city closure. The protective shield was fully open, and no personnel were allowed to enter or leave, and no materials were allowed to circulate. It sounded like it was tantamount to self-destruction. Long-term closure would definitely cause all kinds of problems. Of course, Poseidon Pavilion could not be unaware of this. But even so, Poseidon Pavilion still took this method as the final solution, which shows the seriousness of the problem. But even so, Jiang Xiaofeng was still worried. Although the protective shield of Shrek Academy had been upgraded by Jiang Xiaofeng, it was enough to withstand the 12th level fixed Soul Guide cannon that destroyed Shrek Academy in the original timeline. But if there was another one, it would even go directly to the eternal heaven. In this case, Jiang Xiaofeng really couldn't guarantee whether the protective shield could still withstand it. This is not just a matter of energy strength. The energy provided to the protective shield is naturally far more than these 3 Soul Guide cannons, and the energy utilization rate of the protective shield is almost 100%. But the protective shield needs to protect the entire Shrek city, and all the energy is spread out. And the Soul Guide cannon only needs to break one point of it to cause huge damage to Shrek city. There are only 2 ways to upgrade the protective shield. One is to strengthen the energy supply, and the other is to improve the structure of the protective shield. And Jiang Xiaofeng's choice is to do both. This time, Jiang Xiaofeng will install a large arc reactor in Shrek City no matter what. And these are just one aspect. The reactor is not a perpetual motion machine. It also requires a large amount of energy supply. Not only that, all kinds of living supplies also need to be solved. The most important thing is that Jiang Xiaofeng wants to protect more people. Time is running out. Xingdao Great Forest. Guyu slowly walked into the core area, and a group of fierce beasts emerged from the Lake of Life and knelt down on Guyu's left and right. "Welcome to the Lord," the fierce beasts said in unison. Guyu waved her hand gently. "Get up." "Thank you, my lord." The beasts slowly retreated to both sides, leaving Guyu a path leading directly to the center of the Lake of Life. Guyu stretched out her hand gently, and a 9-colored crystal appeared in her palm. A strong pressure emanated from it, oppressing all the beasts to tremble in place. That was the Dragon God Core that Guyu took out from the Dragon Valley small world. Contained in it was the power of the Dragon God. In the past, Guyu hoped to absorb the Dragon God Core. But in this way, Guyu could certainly get more powerful power. But her upper limit would also stop at the strength of the Dragon God. The same is true for Tang Wulin now. If he cannot truly transform the blood of the Golden Dragon King into his own power, his upper limit will also stop at the 1st level god. After all, that is the power of the Golden Dragon King, not his own power. It is well known that a strong bloodline can make a soul master or soul beast more powerful. But how did a strong bloodline come into being? That is because the first generation of people or beasts cultivated to an unprecedented realm, and his bloodline became extremely powerful because of his existence. Let's take a simple example. Blue silver grass without cultivation is just blue silver grass. Blue silver grass over 10,000 years old is blue silver king. Blue silver grass over 100,000 years old is blue silver emperor. If one day, a blue silver grass can cultivate to the realm of 1,000,000 years or even God King by its own strength, then the blood it passed down will definitely be the top blood in the plant system. The same is true for Guyu. The original cultivation of Silver Dragon King was a 1st level god. If she can cultivate to the God King realm, then she will no longer be Silver Dragon King, but Silver Dragon God. PS. Gold Dragon King and Silver Dragon King are 1st level gods. This is the setting of Daluo Dalu 3rd. The settings of Daluo Dalu 4th are all messy and have no reference value. Once her cultivation surpasses the former dragon god, then Guyu will be the new dragon god of the dragon clan. Therefore, Guyu now no longer has any desire for the Dragon God core. In her eyes, the Dragon God core is just a simple tool. Guyu walked slowly towards the lake of life. When her feet stepped into the water, a magical scene appeared. Guyu's right foot did not sink into the water, but stepped on the water surface, as if it were flat ground. The splashing waves on the water surface did not wet Guyu's clothes at all. Guyu walked slowly to the center of the lake, and a green gem slowly floated up from the lake, and fell into her hands. She gently closed her eyes, and the Dragon God core floated towards the life gem. At the moment when the two came into contact, a chaotic barrier expanded from the life gem and instantly enveloped the entire Stardow Great Forest. That was part of the dimensional power left by Kamen Rider. At this moment, all the soul beasts in the Stardow Great Forest prostrated themselves on the ground. Even the fierce beasts were no exception. The Dragon God controls the power of destruction and creation. Although it cannot be compared with the existence of Omazeo, it is still one of the top power attributes. And destruction and creation are also the two most important forces that constitute the world. And the power of the Dragon God is also the most dominant power in the current Soul Beast lineage. Under the pressure of the Dragon God, only Guyu, the Silver Dragon King, could barely support himself and not kneel down on the ground immediately. The armor of the Night System had been put on at some point. In this state, the strength of Guyu's mental power and soul power would be greatly improved. The power of destruction and creation, plus the power of dimension, and the life force and the life gem. The fusion of these four forces is enough to build a complete small world. Destruction and creation constitute the core of the small world. The power of dimension is the foundation of the world, and the power of life brings vitality to the small world. The entire Stardow Great Forest will become the platform of this world. The only difficulty is that someone needs to be able to control these four forces and let them complete the fusion according to their own ideas. And this is something that only Guyu can barely do. The Silver Dragon King was once part of the Dragon God, and Kamen Rider also left some control over the power of dimension. The life gem belongs to the Stardow Great Forest. As the co-lord of the Soul Beast, Guyu has a certain control over it. In this case, Guyu and Nana work together, plus the strengthening of the Night System. In theory, this project should be completed. However, this is only under ideal circumstances. According to Jiang Xiaofeng's calculations, after completing this project, Guyu and Nana's mental power will be completely consumed. Not a single bit will be left. This also means that their mental power at this stage is just enough to complete this project. If there is any extra consumption in the middle, the project of integrating these four powers will fail. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123 Pocket Universe. At this time, if someone is standing outside the Star Forest, and his eyes can penetrate the outer dimensional wall, then, he will find that the entire Star Forest begins to become looming, as if it will disappear at any time. This is indeed the case. The current Star Forest is alternately shuttling between the two worlds. In fact, the small world created by Guyu at this time can no longer be described as a simple small world. To be precise, it should be another universe, a pocket universe. The small world relies on the main world, and the universe completely replaces the original universe. From a literary point of view, the universe must be very vast. But from a physical point of view, the universe can be large or small, and can even be the size of a bubble. As long as it has independent time and space inside, it can be called a universe. Because the physical definition of the universe is the general term for time and space. And now, in the area centered on the Star Forest, a small universe begins to be born. When this small universe is completely born, the Star Forest will completely disappear. This can also be regarded as an advantage on the fantasy side. If it is a system on the technological side, it will take at least tens of thousands of years to develop technology to create a macro-universe. On the other hand, the fantasy side only needs to practice for a few hundred years to have the ability to create a macro-universe. But the technology side also has its own advantages. Some peerless geniuses can certainly do things that the technology side cannot do in tens of thousands of years in a short period of time. But he is the only one who can reach this level. Others need to spend the same or even more time to practice to this level. The technology side is different. Once the civilization reaches the corresponding level, the corresponding weapons and equipment can be mass produced. Let me give you a simple example. After thousands of years of development, humans have developed super weapons such as nuclear weapons. But even for strategic weapons such as nuclear weapons, countries like the United States and the Bear Country have at least thousands of reserves, and the actual reserves may exceed 5 digits. And the God Realm on the Daolo continent, even if people like the God Realm hunters are counted, there are only tens of thousands of people. This is the power of the technology side. Once the civilization reaches the highest level, the so-called top powerhouses may be mass produced. However, this development time may take hundreds of millions of years. Time is constantly passing. Soon, 2 days passed. The strange vision of the Xingdao Great Forest naturally attracted many high-level soul masters, but without exception, they could not pass through the dimensional wall surrounding the forest. The dimensional power is far superior to the spatial power. At this time, Guyu's mental power was almost exhausted. It would take some time for this small universe to be completely completed. According to Jiang Xiaofeng's previous calculations, Guyu must combine these forces completely without any errors to create this small universe. But people cannot be as accurate as machines. Even a moment of distraction will bring additional consumption of mental power. However, there was no panic on Guyu's face, because she had a backup plan. Before getting the Dragon God Core, she could temporarily regain some of her peak power at a certain price. Although the price was high, it was not unbearable. Now that Guyu has obtained the Dragon God Core, the price has been further reduced. It can be said that all accidents at this time are still under Guyu's control. The birth of the small universe has reached the last step. Guyu's momentum suddenly surged, and the sense of oppression it brought was unprecedentedly strong. Together, Guyu and Na shouted in unison. A strong dimensional fluctuation instantly spread throughout the entire Daolo continent, and the dimensional wall surrounding the outer edge of the Stardao Great Forest also dissipated. The soul masters surrounding the outer edge of the dimensional wall were shocked to see that the entire Stardao Great Forest disappeared, as if it had never existed in this world. In fact, there are many small worlds on the Daolo continent, such as the Ascension platform. If it were just the birth of a small world, it would not affect the entire Daolo continent. But what was born at this moment was a real universe, a universe completely separated from the Daolo continent. If there were no dimensional power left by Menshishi, Guyu could only build a small world at most, and it would be impossible to build a complete universe like this. However, in this way, what Guyu has to do is far from over. Everything in the small world is connected to the main world, such as gravity, air, light, etc. It is a real world with a round sky and a square earth. And people in the main world may be able to find the small world by following the clues. Moreover, once the main world is destroyed, the small world will also be destroyed. And now, if Guyu had not used his own power to protect the land of the Stardao Great Forest, the entire Stardao Great Forest might fall apart due to the loss of gravity, and a large number of soul beasts inside might explode and die due to the sudden loss of atmospheric pressure. They might also freeze to death due to the temperature of -273.4. Fortunately, Guyu was prepared. To be precise, it was Jiang Xiaofeng who was prepared. Guyu took out a metal cube, which instantly began to expand, and turned into a platform larger than the current Stardao Great Forest. The platform slowly rose, and dragged the land of the Stardao Great Forest from the bottom. That's right, it rose, not fell. The small world has boundaries, but the universe has no boundaries. That is to say, there are boundaries but no boundaries. The universe is indeed limited, and this microcosm is only the size of a forest. But the universe does not have a set boundary. You came to the edge of the universe, and saw an invisible barrier covering the universe. This situation is impossible. You will only return to where you started. The result of this phenomenon in a 400 square meter universe is that you will see countless you in front of and behind you. The distance between each you is 20 meters. and about 20 meters above your head is the bottom of the platform you are standing on. Therefore, the platform rises upward and successfully drags the bottom of the Stardow Great Forest. At the moment when the platform drags the Stardow Great Forest, gravity reappears. This is not over yet. Guyu took out a metal ball again. The metal ball instantly emits a strong light and temperature, illuminating the entire forest and giving it temperature again. The metal platform above their heads is also constantly changing color. Soon, a blue sky appears in front of them. Then comes the air. The air prepared in advance is constantly injected into this empty micro-universe. Guyu constantly takes out the various items prepared by Jiang Xiaofeng and constantly completes this ecosystem. After about a few days, the Stardow Great Forest was able to truly gain a foothold in this new universe. Chapter 124 Dark Wave. You mean, you think Shrek Academy is not strong enough to deal with this crisis? Yunming frowned and said in a deep voice. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded and said, yes, with the current defense force of Shrek Academy, I'm pessimistic about whether it can deal with this crisis. Yunming did not speak. In fact, not only Jiang Xiaofeng was pessimistic, he himself was also pessimistic. If Shrek could easily deal with this disaster, he would not be uneasy about it. But, are you sure that the reactor you made is absolutely safe? Yunming asked. Before this, I have never seen such a huge energy. Even the eternal heaven cannot compare with it. Jiang Xiaofeng shook his head. No one can guarantee absolute safety. Safety is only relative. It's just that compared with traditional soul guide energy equipment, the safety factor of nuclear fusion reactor is much greater. If there is no highest order authorization, even direct bombing with soul guide cannons cannot detonate it. Yunming fell into silence. Before Jiang Xiaofeng came, he had even begun to consider whether to disband Shrek Academy and break it up into pieces. After all, if this crisis is a man-made disaster, then Shrek Academy will appear to be a big tree attracting wind. However, once Shrek Academy is disbanded, it is equivalent to putting down the weapon in one's hand, and everything can only be left to fate. The current situation is, if Shrek Academy is not disbanded, then once the disaster comes, either live together or die together. And if Shrek Academy is disbanded, there will be a greater probability that some people can survive. I need to verify its defense strength. Yunming said in a deep voice. Obviously, the urgent situation at the moment made Yunming waver. If the new protective shield is strong enough, perhaps it can really become the key to breaking the deadlock. Jiang Xiaofeng frowned and thought, this is not easy to achieve. According to my design, the new protective shield can withstand the bombing of about 10 hydrogen bombs at the same time. But in reality, we can't use such a powerful weapon to test it. Hydrogen bomb? Yunming heard this term for the first time. How powerful is it? Jiang Xiaofeng calculated a little. Does the eternal heaven know? Yunming nodded. There are only 3 level 12 fixed soul guide cannons, and the eternal heaven is the most powerful one among them. As the head of the Sea God Pavilion, he naturally couldn't have not heard of it. The power of a hydrogen bomb is equivalent to at least 5 eternal heavens. Jiang Xiaofeng explained, and if 10 hydrogen bombs are detonated at the same time, not to mention destroying the entire Daolo star, but making it barren. In fact, there were rumors in the past that human nuclear bomb reserves could destroy the Earth several times, but this statement is nonsense. They can destroy all mankind, but they can't destroy the Earth. Just like the extinction of dinosaurs, after several years, life will be born again on Earth. For the world, humans are important, because the concept of the world is the scope of human activities. But for the Earth, humans are not important. So, weakness is not the original sin, but arrogance is. And now, if it weren't for the fact that Daolo star was too fragile, because of some people, the impact of the hydrogen bomb would not be so great. Moreover, these people are only worthy of tossing Daolo star. If faced with a vast universe, the so-called God realm is not even an ant. Seeing Yunming silent, Jiang Xiaofeng understood it was impossible to convince Yunming with words alone. This can also be regarded as the instinctive fear of humans for unknown things. Do you know about the Super Soul Guide computer of Tang sect? Jiang Xiaofeng pondered for a while and asked. Yunming thought for a while. You mean, Tang sect number 4? Tangsect number 4 is the 4th generation supercomputer developed by Tangsect. Its computing speed has broken through the gigabit per second for the first time in the history of Daluo continent. For the current Xia kingdom, such a computing speed was not achieved until 2010. For Tangsect, it is even more difficult. Yes, it is this kind of super soul guide computer. As long as you input enough data, it can completely simulate it. Theoretically, as long as you input enough data and the computer computing speed is fast enough, it can even calculate the future. Lu Xundaoluo once said, "A butterfly flapping its wings can cause a hurricane." But what if all factors, including this butterfly, are input into a computer with a large enough computing capacity? Of course, this kind of supercomputer even Jiang Xiaofeng can't make it at this stage. You know, even Xia and Yak can only predict a small-scale battle. Xia can simulate the battle situation more than 2 trillion times in an instant. Note that this is not a calculation like 1 + 1 = 2, but a calculation for the entire battle situation. Behind each simulation, there is a terrifying computing speed. Even such a computer cannot simulate the future, let alone Jiang Xiaofeng, who is not as good as Fidian and Xia in the field of computers. Yunming is also a smart person. Jiang Xiaofeng mentioned it slightly, and he understood what Jiang Xiaofeng meant. You mean, you can prove the accuracy of the data. After that, input this data into Tangman number 4 for simulation? Jiang Xiaofeng nodded. Yes, that's what I mean. It's just that the computing speed of Tangman number 4 is still not enough to simulate these things. So, I still need the computer there. Looking at the simulation results on the computer, Yunming looked at Jiang Xiaofeng deeply. In that case, everything about Shrek Academy is up to you. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded without thinking much. At this moment, all he was thinking about was how to complete the arrangement of the facilities in his mind as quickly as possible. He had imagined the worst possible scenario in the future. Apart from death, the worst outcome would undoubtedly be that Shrek could only be trapped in the protective shield. If the situation really deteriorated to this point, then neither electricity nor soul power could meet Jiang Xiaofeng's needs. Because the transmission of electricity and soul power requires some special channels. For example, wires, such as soul guide arrays. If Shrek Academy is really trapped in the lonely city, energy is definitely a big problem. Again, the reactor is not a perpetual motion machine. It still needs external energy supplement. If trapped in Shrek Academy, this energy supplement is absolutely impossible to complete. Therefore, energy supplement can only come from the outside world. The ocean. This is a place that Daluo humans have never really set foot on, and it can be said to be a real energy treasure house. Even the sea god Tangsen cannot really control the ocean. But even so, the problem of energy transportation has not been solved. Until a few days ago, Jiang Xiaofeng discovered a special band. This band was named by Jiang Xiaofeng, Dark Wave. School is about to start for me, and I know what I need to make up for at this time. Chapter 125 Underwater Operations. Dark waves are a unique type of electromagnetic waves. The reason why they are unique is that they are almost impossible to generate naturally. Therefore, Jiang Xiaofeng named them dark waves. Some people believe that electromagnetic waves are the most likely to replace electricity and become a new energy source. Because electromagnetic waves can get rid of restrictions such as terrain and propagation media. But electromagnetic waves also have some great defects. For example, electromagnetic waves will be interfered by magnetic fields, unable to transmit accurately, and so on. Jiang Xiaofeng can solve the problem of accurate transmission, but the problem of interference during transmission has not been solved. Until a few days ago, the discovery of dark waves. Half a month ago, Jiang Xiaofeng accidentally detected a strange electromagnetic wave that was not interfered by any magnetic field. After crazy research, Jiang Xiaofeng discovered this kind of electromagnetic wave that can only be generated artificially. The discovery of dark waves, coupled with controlled nuclear fusion. If these things were placed in the world of the previous life, I'm afraid they would cause an unprecedented industrial revolution. Although there are still some detailed problems in the new energy system, time is running out. Moreover, Jiang Xiaofeng has enough confidence in it and in himself. What's more, sometimes, before learning to walk, you must first learn to run. Shrek Academy started an unprecedented huge project. In this world, the soul guide system has been completely popularized. It is very difficult to completely replace it, even if the scope is limited to Shrek City. Before this, Jiang Xiaofeng did not think about replacing the soul guide system because the cost of upgrading was too high. The second reason is that after Jiang Xiaofeng studied the soul guide system in depth, he found that the potential of the soul guide system should not be weaker than the power system. The reason why Daluo continent developed slowly is not because the soul guide system is not good, but because of the lack of basic science. But now the situation is special. No matter how much it costs, Jiang Xiaofeng must complete the replacement of energy. Fortunately, Yunming gave all this to Jiang Xiaofeng, which saved a lot of trouble. In order to complete the defense and living facilities as soon as possible, Jiang Xiaofeng mobilized almost all the manpower and material resources of Shrek. Yun, have you really decided? Yali asked softly in the wooden house. That's right. If it really comes to the most critical moment, what Shrek Academy needs is a unified voice. At that time, Jiang Xiaofeng, who built the entire defense system by himself, is undoubtedly the most suitable candidate, Yunming said in a deep voice. Yali frowned slightly and said, but, will such a burden be too heavy for him? Yunming pondered for a while and said, maybe it is true. It depends on him. If he himself is unwilling, I can only find someone else to inherit the position of Pavilion Master. It must be said that Yunming is really dedicated to Shrek Academy. In the original timeline, Yunming could have escaped the bombing of the 12th level Soul Guide cannon with his cultivation that is infinitely close to the god level. But he didn't. In order to protect Shrek's students, he finally chose to sacrifice himself. Therefore, regardless of issues such as teaching ability, as a teacher, he is absolutely qualified. By the way, should we warn the Federation? Yali asked. If they don't prepare early, the people on Daluo continent may suffer. Yunming shook his head gently. It's useless. I have already warned those politicians. But some of them always think that this is an excuse for Shrek Academy to expand its power. The Federation's War God Temple should also have extreme Daluo, right? Even if our warning is not credible, the warning from the War God Temple should have aroused their vigilance, right? Yali frowned. Perhaps those politicians have never really trusted the War God Temple they founded. Deep Sea Worker Hachi Marine, B submarine form. Jiang Xiaofeng slowly dived into the deep sea. After Guyu and Naya completed their transformation, they also followed Jiang Xiaofeng through the control of water element. This is the deepest trench on Daluo continent, a full 7,641 meters deep. P.S. The term hydrogen planet is just for fun. Don't take it too seriously. If you delve into it, 90% of novels will have this problem. The creatures or soul beasts that can live here may not be very powerful, but they must have unique skills. The sea god once used the power of rules to cover the entire ocean with his own brand. This made all the sea soul beasts have a blind worship of the sea god. The only one who was not affected was the deep sea demon whale king, who relied on devouring other sea soul beasts to cultivate for 1,000,000 years. Now, with the disappearance of the god realm, the sea god's brand has begun to gradually dissipate. The awe of the dragon god from the bloodline has also begun to gradually return. It is also because of this that Jiang Xiaofeng was not disturbed by soul beasts on this trip with the deterrence of Guyu's breath. It's right here. I just felt it, and this does not belong to the territory of any soul beast. I will mark this area later with my breath. No soul beast should step into it, Guyu suddenly said. Jiang Xiaofeng looked around. This area was extremely barren, just like a desert on the seabed. After Guyu marked this area, according to the rules of the ocean, this area will officially become the territory of the Silver Dragon King. No soul beast would risk offending the Silver Dragon King to compete for such a worthless territory. After all, soul beasts are essentially creatures that will not get up early without profit. Soon, the territory was redivided, and this ownerless land officially became an owner's land. A silver light flashed, and several parts appeared on the ground on the seabed. Jiang Xiaofeng carefully checked each part. Even under such a strong pressure, the parts did not show any signs of deformation. Okay, there is no problem with the parts. Jiang Xiaofeng raised a thumb, indicating that there was no problem with this batch of parts. Underwater operations are difficult, especially when the parts are so precise. The difficulty of the operation is even higher. Therefore, Jiang Xiaofeng assembled some parts into modules at sea in advance. When they are under the sea, these modules will be further assembled. This is to ensure the safety of the internal parts. A few hours later, Jiang Xiaofeng breathed a sigh of relief. The dark wave transmitter had been installed and successfully connected to the receiving device on Shrek's side. "How is it?" Guyu, who was assisting from the side, asked. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded with satisfaction. "This is a good start, and there is hope that it will succeed at once." As he said that, Jiang Xiaofeng turned his head to look at Guyu and praised, "You are doing well now, and now you can assist me in my research." Under the mask, Guyu's mouth curled up slightly. "TSK. What about me? What about me?" Another anxious voice came from Guyu's mask, as if hoping that Jiang Xiaofeng could also praise her. Jiang Xiaofeng smiled helplessly. "Nada is also very good. After all, this is completed by your collaboration." "That's me," Nada said proudly. "Don't talk about this for now. There are still many things that have not been installed." Guyu interrupted Nada's words and continued to transfer large pieces of parts through space control. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.